What a time to be setting my audio. I hope this works, man. I really hope this works. Input. HyperX Quad. Okay, good. Okay. Check. Output. Okay, check. And spaces. Gotta be on spaces. Hold on, guys. Wow. Why am I always late? Well, one thing is, hey, Kurt. Man, I forgot to actually set the space up, man. Start speaking. Good evening.
What's up, Banana? How are you?
I'm doing good. I forgot to actually, I made the Twitter, the YouTube thumbnail. I got that all set up. And then I forgot to, and I posted about the space, but I forgot to set it up until like 5 minutes ago.
That's okay.
Yeah. First time ever. But hey, at least we got it done before tea time.
Yeah, it's actually probably pretty good that it just got posted. Maybe it'll remind people that we're live right now.
True. On YouTube, guys, can you hear me clearly, or does it sound like the audio is coming from the mic to, I want it to come straight from YouTube or wherever. I'll check the recording, guys, but if it sounds funky, you can just let me know and I'll rearrange my speaker. Good sound. IOX says it's good sound. Excellent. Thank you, guys. Woo. Oh boy, the stress of setting up stuff when you can't see what's going on. Zen, you know, it's just like, okay, I just believe that it's going to work because Grok said it would.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty impressed that, you know, this doing the spaces and then streaming it onto YouTube actually works so well.
Yeah. Well, like I said on Saturday, there's a gentleman and I'd known this. I just never took the time to do it. He's like, don't you like run it through your computer? Why do you have your phone up to your mic? I'm like, I just haven't sat down and done it. Well, he provoked me and I did. And I just have to change some settings. And now I don't have to hold my mic up to my phone, which is really nice. You know?
Yeah, now problem solved forever.
Yeah, pretty much. Now, the one sketchy thing is, and I'll be real honest, that I am playing spaces on the computer, which is not necessarily recommended because the phones always work better. However, I'm not the host, so maybe that makes it maybe that makes a difference. So
yeah, that's probably fine.
Yeah, it worked on Saturday. So, well, how are you doing, man?
Good. Slammed at work right now, so I guess that's good.
Yeah, that's good for your bank account. You know,
good for in real life.
Yeah. And we got some good stuff going on in the crypto life too now.
Yeah, 110K Bitcoin today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Moving in the right direction.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. And look, ETH is up 9%. Bitcoin's up 4%. So we know what that means.
ETH's up 9% right now. I didn't even realize that.
Yeah. I'm pulling it up for the viewers on YouTube so we can, okay, let's look at Ethereum. This is exciting and this is good news. Oh, yeah, man. In the last 5 days, Ethereum is up. Let me get the USD. It's up 13%. I'm rounding it to 13%. And then against Bitcoin, let's see, same time frame, last 5 days, it's up. Hold on, 2.5. It's up. What did I say? 13. It's up 4% against Bitcoin.
Yeah, it's nice to see us working up against Bitcoin on ETH.
Yep. So we have our monthly green candle back for June. So
on price or on dominance or against
dominance.
Yeah.
Yep. So we were up against Bitcoin. Let's see. For May, we were up 27%. So far, we're up like maybe 4% in June. Yeah, something like that. 2%. 2% for June. Total.
Yeah, that's exciting. I'm obviously beyond excited to see you get closer to that level that Richard grabbed his ETH at, and hopefully blow past that.
Yeah, true. I don't even think about a lot of that stuff. Like each of us as individuals I think we have our own little, what do you call it? Little measurements, little things that we refer to. And like this one, the ETH Bitcoin ratio I got from a good buddy of mine. And then you just mentioned one that I never thought of, which is the price that Richard paid for his Ethereum. Didn't he pay like 2,700?
No, I think it's closer to 37.
Oh, okay. Okay. So that was quite some time ago then.
Yeah.
Okay. That was more like,
correct me if I'm wrong, 35, 37, something around there. Pampy might actually say it on the website.
oh yeah. Maybe.
I think there's some other sites that look into Richard Hart, maybe. You could try that while we're sitting here. You could type in the look into Richard, or gosh, maybe that's not it. I think it's look into Richard Hart, but that's a lot of pretty long URL. Maybe not right.
Let me try it. Yeah, there is no look into richardhart.com. We tried. Well, if anybody knows what it is, put it in the chat or come up, on the spaces and let us know. We're kind of trying to find it. Not a big deal. It would be nice to know at what price he bought that Ethereum. Actually, now I want to know because then we can kind of I've got two. We can kind of use it. We kind of earmark it. I've got two things earmarked personally. Like I have a yellow sticky on my monitor that says I want to record. Like we're going to do a little test on pTGC when Pulse hits 301, because it went all the way down to 4025, and at 301 that'll be a 3x, and I want to know how many x's pTGC did. That's one. And then the other one is the final date of the SEC, which is July 5th. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's July 5th, like the day after Independence Day.
Here, look into rh.com. Try that.
There you go. I bet that sounds more like it. Look into all these look into. You know who started that? What's that guy's name? Starts with a G, I think.
Geraldo?
Is it Gerard? I think it's Gerardo. Gerardo?
Gerardo.
Yeah.
Look into Hex.
Yeah. I wonder if that was original with him. Well, we have.
Does that site work?
Yes, it is working. Yeah, I didn't know there was such a thing. Okay, cool. $495 million in whatever that they're tracking here. Let me put this on the screen for you guys. And then maybe we can find out how much he, at what price he bought Ethereum at. Ooh, there we go. Okay, the current price, 2,700. DCA entry price, 3,773. So we got a ways to go before he's broke even.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about being so low. It means you're close to the bottom, which is a lot of upside.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a thought today. And this is a moon boy thought. But I think if PulseChain goes where we all hope it can go and where we all suspect it could go, not even if PulseChain could go, but just if PulseChain does anything and the Gray's currencies do what we suspect they could do, which we have a track record. The Gray's currencies stand to have a lot of God whales. Can I say that? I mean, is that lawful?
When you're referring to God whales, are you referring to the Dow? Are you referring to
no,
UFO? Are you referring to the automatic features within?
No, just holders.
Oh, holders.
Yeah, I think there's going to be some God whales in the Gray's currencies.
Yeah, I always like looking at, how Hex had its God whale, and I forget, previously we talked about what kind of numbers that got brought in by God whale at lower levels.
Yeah.
And I forget what it was, 5 mil, whatever. But I like looking at like all the automatic features within pTGC and UFO, and even I guess the non-automatic features like the Dow as our own form of a God whale.
Yeah.
It's just every single day in, day out, the systems are just constantly buying up pTGC and taking them off the market. And it's not something that we have to hope comes one day. It's just something that happens day in, day out. Is it as exciting as like one big lump sum of 5 mil? No, maybe it's not as exciting, but it's happening in, day out.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to happen for the entire length of the existence of PulseChain.
Mm-hmm.
If PulseChain goes up from here and volume picks up, obviously prices of pTGC will pick up, but it will just still keep eating at that position that it's ever going to keep growing. But even if PulseChain, this is complete bearish negative way of thinking, but even if PulseChain went in a negative direction, well, where would that negative direction go? Could go super low, technically. Do I think it's going that low? No. But if it went super low, all that would do would decrease the price of pTGC, because when PulseChain goes down, that would decrease the price of pTGC. And what that would do is give people a better entry, a lower priced entry in dollar value, but also give the God whale, the code, the Dow, UFO, a lower entry to just keep buying up supply and taking it off the market. So when it is time for the market to go, is that in the next month? Is that 2 months, 6 months, 2 years? Who knows? I think we're very short time frame away from it, but I don't have control of this stuff.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of giving both directions what's possible. There is positives to each thing with pTGC. If it goes lower, what you're doing is you're making pTGC worth less, making it so higher amounts of supply with less dollar value is getting bought and burnt. More distribution, lower price equals, if volume levels are decent, that means we're getting more tokens in our wallets for what we hold, right? As our APY. Is that APY worth a lot at that time? Absolutely not. But I'll be truthful. I miss the days where the price was really, really low and the APY in quantity of tokens was massive.
Yes.
And I actually feel like we'll miss days like, a few months ago where, market was moving down, but volume was really high on pTGC.
Yeah.
And we're getting good quantity of tokens. I don't know what the future holds, but I hope volume keeps increasing somewhat evenly with token price. But yeah. I do think it isn't perfectly linear, and how the system is set up that it could keep ratcheting the price up, making it so you're getting a little less tokens, more in dollar value, which is great too, especially for the people who are early and create their position at the cheaper prices, so they can let their position grow with the X's, which then, even if the quantity of tokens decreases a little bit, it won't make as big of a difference for them because they were able to increase their position with the X's the protocol did in the growth of the protocol.
Right. Which emphasizes the need, or not the need, but the importance of getting in early. And the reason is because you can start stacking up tokens immediately at these
I think there's importance in taking advantage of discounts on pTGC too, right? Like a lot of people, I think, feel, you know, they've missed out on the opportunity to get a decent sized position, but you haven't missed the opportunity. The opportunity is right now in front of us, right? The discounts on the blockchain, the discounts on pTGC is the opportunity to really get that position, because on the way to $1 billion market cap, like I was kind of looking at it like this, like if this protocol becomes so massive on PulseChain that everyone owns a piece of it, right? And this does happen, right? Like you get to a point where just everyone has it in their wallet because it's become that massive. I kind of made a tweet about it today. Like right now, people are getting into PulseChain because they want to, you know, potentially increase their net worth and store value in it. But at some point, it will be the thing that everyone's coming to PulseChain or in PulseChain that they are storing value in. They already have to have the value to store, right? Like this is kind of what, if you are to get large amounts of Bitcoin, you've already made it. You know what I mean? You're not getting large amounts of Bitcoin to make it, or you can't get large amounts of Bitcoin if you haven't made it yet. But if you've already made it, you're actually able to get large amounts of Bitcoin and store value in it. I do believe pTGC will operate in the same way. The opportunity right now is taking advantage of dips, right? You're not too late. You just have to be willing to take advantage of the dips when they're here, because very, very rapidly they can just disappear. PulseChain starts moving up, ETH starts moving up, pTGC starts moving up very, very rapidly. This could be back at all-time highs where it costs you 6 times the amount of money to get that same size position.
Oh yeah.
Which is 6 times the amount of money to get that same size APY. And then it just keeps multiplying up very rapidly. And the chance to get the position in a protocol that does sustain multiple cycles can start to disappear really, really quick. And you could be like, darn, like, and you know, this is a very high risk play, you know, it's crypto. But, you know, I just looking at the facts and what we've seen out of the protocol, the odds are actually very, very high comparatively to another asset that you might be looking to do 100x, right? Like there, a lot of the things that do give it risk, we've mechanically and due to a lot of other things made those less risky, right? The ability to hold your own tokens, you're not at risk to a smart contract getting hacked and your tokens being in it, or liquidity being pulled, right? You don't have to risk that because liquidity is burnt. The ability to do tons of X's with also having liquidity. Well, we've solved that too by being built on an undervalued blockchain. So momentum, right? We've already gained lots of momentum. We have parts of the code that are constantly buying and burning the supply, making it scarcer and scarcer and scarcer, tapping into the principles of supply and demand. Like a lot of the things that usually would make a product not risky, we've solved, making it actually pretty unrisky. The riskiest part, in my opinion, is still the adoption of PulseChain. If adoption of PulseChain was a guarantee, I would feel very comfortable almost saying, wow, this feels almost guaranteed. You know, obviously nothing's guaranteed. It's, you know, everything has a risk. But that's one of the only things I see in front of us right now as an extreme hurdle. And I feel very confident in Richard Hart coming through. And not only Richard Hart coming through, I made a comment about this. Even if Richard doesn't come through, to just have PulseChain do a 10x from here, only $15 million needs to come over that bridge. That's so little amounts of money, and you think of it, if you think about how much money has come through into PulseChain in the past, if you even think about how much money has been just lost to scams by the PulseChain community themselves. If you took a lot of the money that was lost to scams and just brought a tenth of that back, PulseChain would be up 20x right now.
Yeah, really, if you just didn't have the failed sacrifice altcoins on PulseChain, I don't know what the total number is for that, but it's been millions, probably close to 15 million from the couple sacrifice projects that were flops and exit scams.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to call out any projects in particular because maybe eventually they come out and do good, but you know, there's some projects that had, I think, over $50 million sacrificed for them. So, you know, that's
insane. That's
I think if you added up all the sacrifices, it's probably close to around $100 million. Like we just said, that pretty much would send PulseChain 100x. Obviously, people would sell into that, so you wouldn't get that 100x technically. But in that event, also people would be buying. You know, if price starts moving up, a lot of people love to talk about the idea of like, oh, well, if price starts moving up 5x, people are going to sell into it. And it's like, well, if price starts moving 5x up, people are also going to buy into that most likely because PulseChain will finally start to show that it's not the sinking ship a lot of people believe. Especially with markets moving up, like if PulseChain's market starts moving up, if PLS starts moving up, in basic terms, that just means money will be moving into PulseChain. When money moves into PulseChain, a portion of that money obviously will find its way to altcoins. When markets move up on ETH, 100% of the money doesn't stay in ETH. A good amount of that money lands on the alts built on top of it, and that's what gives those sustainable alts a multiplier over it. But yeah, that's just kind of how I look at it is when funds start to flow into PulseChain, when PulseChain starts to move up 5x, you know, a lot of people love saying, okay, people are going to sell that 100%. But PLS is moving up. That means there's more money coming into PulseChain than leaving PulseChain, or it wouldn't be going up. And that momentum is very, very strong.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have bear market PTSD, and I've been saying this for a while. Is, you know, the people that are saying, oh, if there's a 5x, they're going to be sold off. It's like, well, those people are going to get left behind because they don't remember how quickly momentum can shift and morale can shift for network and upside objectives can happen. And they'll be left behind quickly. And, you know, we're going to see that if when Ethereum starts getting rolling and then if the inflows start to PulseChain at the same time, it's going to be the same kind of way that, you know, Hex got to feed off the success of Ethereum for its 10,000x. So I just think a lot of people have been going through the doldrums, especially on PulseChain for a couple of years now. They forget how quickly things can go up in crypto, how quickly momentum can shift, and you're going to sell for your 2x or 3x. Like, I'll just buy it back in the next dip, and you'll find yourself buying it 5x higher, 6x higher, 7x higher, which will be another short-term top. You'll get yourself all backwards and not get your positions back. So have fun trading the chop now, but at some point, trading to get a lower entry isn't going to happen.
Yeah, I think you also brought up a big point of this morale changing. You know, a lot of people will say like, hey, I'm willing to get out at 3x, 2x, 5x when morale's where it is right now. But when PLS starts moving back up and when, you know, we've seen when pTGC moves up, when Pulse moves up, and when Hex moves up, when Pulse moves up, and Pulse Hex, morale starts to shift so drastically that people tend to say like, you know what, I am willing to hold a little stronger now because the whole morale has changed. The whole community has changed. You know, the whole environment has now changed. And greed somewhat kicks in to where you used to be okay with this number, but now you feel like you can get more. It's also just human nature. Emotions kick in, and you want to ride it longer. You want to get the most out of that as you can. This is just basic human nature. But it is okay, right? If you have some numbers in your head, you know, it's okay to get some money off the table, and you know, pay yourself back maybe value that you did. But I do think it is important to remember why we're here, and a lot of us are here for long-term plays, long-term investments in sustainable, real projects. For me, I honestly believe PulseChain, Hex, PulseX, pTGC, UFO are long-term plays. Definitely short-term movements happen all the time, and I think that's where we're at right now. Is a lot of people bummed and say this, but morale can change very, very quickly. I think Richard just tweeted about this yesterday saying, see how everything changes in 2 months, right? A lot of people are picking out that 2 months saying, oh, things will be different in 2 months. I don't think that's necessarily what he meant by like, hey, from this day 2 months on, which maybe he did, I don't know. But I more meant like, hey, or what I think he meant was, hey, within 2 months, the energy of this chain, like the whole entire ecosystem can be a completely different place. Is that starting date from now to 2 months from now? Maybe not. Maybe it's next month to 3 months from now. But what the point is when that chart starts moving up, in 2 months' time, it could probably look like a completely different environment than what it was at the beginning of that 2 month period. With a couple green candles in there, some positive YouTube videos, the community, kumbaya and back together, so on and so forth.
I think you hit the nail on the head with the PTSD, PTSD. As soon as the momentum shifts, they don't want to sell. Trust me, they'll buy more. It's my third cycle now. I've been there, done that. Now everybody's waiting to get some profits, but as soon as everything starts moving and everybody starts believing again, and all of a sudden 100x is on the table again, trust me, they won't sell. And it will move quickly.
So you also got to take in other factors too. Is when the chain is doing well, you're going to get new onboards, but also you're going to get more project development, more projects flourishing, more projects doing well, which are all putting economic power back into blue chips on the network, which helps things pump even more. So, I just think that's what's going to happen. I've been here multiple cycles, and that's how it kind of works out. Everybody's in doldrums saying they're going to sell on a 2x. And it's like, all right, sell that, but you're not going to get it back. You held it for 2 years, and you're going to miss the real rally.
I mean, I made that mistake with pTGC. I was lucky enough to get into the first week. I sold probably 90% of it on the first, 14, 15x. Biggest mistake of my life. Yeah, I'm not going to make that mistake again.
That's sometimes hard, right? There's so many projects that come out all the time. Definitely myself as an unknown figure, I was coming out just saying like, hey, this is what I've been working on. This is what's going on. And if you look at how many times that's been said and, how many projects do go up and then go down and never come back, it does give users a form of PTSD to where when they are up X's, they're like, oh, I need to get profits out of this. The sad part with that mentality, and this is just what kind of meme coining does to people, is when you are actually holding the right product, when you do find that needle in the haystack, you sadly sell it way too early. And that's why for me, like I really am a little bit stubborn about what I look at, because I want to make sure if I'm going into something, I'm looking at it as like, hey, I have actual long-term conviction in this play, because that will actually give me the ability to sit around in that system for not just a 2x, 5x, 10x, 20x, 100x, but as long as, I get my numbers I'm looking for, or hopefully even longer if it has systems like pTGC where it just pays you to remain in the system and you never need to leave. But yeah, that's kind of what the development of crypto has turned into, right? Is especially in a bear market and when prices go down, the only place to really make good money is flipping meme, flipping meme, flipping meme, flipping meme. And the problem with when you're playing that flipping meme game is eventually you do run across that blue chip. And if you're in the rhythm of not recognizing which ones are the needles in the haystack and which ones are just the quick flips, sadly you rotate out of possibly the best play of the cycle way too early.
Facts. But how could you know? I mean, especially when PulseChain started in the beginning, it quickly turned into a degen chain. And it was just chasing the quick 5 to 10x or even a 2 or 3x. And if you have that still in your back of your head and you get a 15x, what I had with pTGC, I was like, heck yeah, I 15x my PLS, I'm out. Yeah, how could you know?
Yeah, exactly. You can't, that's what I mean. It's like, you almost at that point need to just really like knuckle down on like, hey, like I'm going to study these projects front and back, and figure it out for yourself if you actually think that pTGC has a system figured out that can last multiple cycles. I strongly believe it does. And at that point, what it comes down to is like, okay, it's okay that I made a 15x and then I got out, but there are other opportunities now that I know more and that the system has gathered more momentum and has shown more trust and shown more like longevity, sustainability, that even if it's a little bit higher, I do think it's okay at times to say, hey, I do actually believe in this. You have to have conviction. You have to believe in the protocol to do this move for the most part. Or maybe actually you don't even need to. You can just say, hey, it's bottomed out and I think it's going to rally up again. And, you know, I think it's worth getting in. This is also the option. But there is the option of like, hey, I've now studied this protocol and this protocol has shown to be one of those needles in the haystack. I'm going to take advantage of the 80% dip it's in right now and restart gaining back my position, because this team, or this, it's really not even a team at this point. It's just code on the blockchain with liquidity, and the code just does what we've said it was going to do from the beginning, and the utility just does what we've said it's going to do from the beginning. But it is okay to retry to get back a portion of your portfolio at the dips, because if this does what we believe it's going to do, and when you run the numbers of like what this can do with the successful PulseChain, it's not too late. Even if you grabbed in early and did a quick flip, you know, it's still not too late, because we have an extreme discount right in front of us. And last time PulseChain ran up 4x, mechanically how LP pools function, how markets function, how the math of this protocol functions, if there isn't a major sell-off from the community, which I personally don't believe there will be, because the community is pretty much one of the most diamond-handed communities out there, or the price wouldn't have gone up to a 300 mil market cap in the first place. It would have just gotten sold into oblivion at 50 mil. So I know that they're diamond-handed. I know that they'll ride this thing in because they believe in the system. It's okay to, you know, try to get back a portion of your position, or just DCA into the portions when it's at discounted zones like it is right now.
I mean, the amount of multiples you can get on average, let's say PLS does a 10x, then pTGC should be probably closer to 100x. It's insane how quick these multiples go.
Yeah, it's literally as basic as just when price of PulseChain starts moving up and when money starts flowing into the chain, because Pulse only is going to move up from money flowing into the chain and moving into Pulse. Is that come from Richard's money? Well, if it comes from only Richard's money, then yeah, most likely Richard's not buying pTGC, but he is going to buy X and PulseX, and we're also bonded to those things. So we'll get a multiplier from that, just like he'll get a multiplier on that. So we kind of have that part figured out also, and we win in that scenario either way. But let's say in that event, money flows into the chain. Well, that money automatically is going to touch Pulse first, which then increases us because we're tied with Pulse. So we win either way. And then a portion of that value is also going to drop into the sustainable systems like pTGC, which is our multiplier. And all you're taking a bet on is when money starts flowing into the chain, that a portion of that money is going to land on this asset. And that's just going to be a multiplier to the system. More money coming in than money coming out. You know, this is what happens when money starts flowing in, is you usually do multiples over it. And when money of the chain starts flowing out, you usually do multiples divided by it, because when money leaves the chain, the money doesn't only leave PLS, it also leaves some of the assets that have ran up hundreds of X, like pTGC. You know, it just makes sense that people would take profits if there's money leaving the chain market is going down. It comes out of the products that have gone up, which gives you kind of a multiple to the downside as well. That's why when Pulse hits its lows, it actually makes the most sense to rotate into the alts that you believe will run against Pulse. And then when you're getting to the more overbought, higher market size, it makes more sense to rotate back into the gas token, because the gas token usually isn't pumped up as much because of how those LP pools function. But obviously pTGC also has this whole other feature to it that is generating revenue off of the volume of the market. And then that's just constantly getting shoved into the bottom of it as well. Keeps pushing the price up or down, wherever the market's going, it doesn't matter. Yeah, in the past, last time when Pulse went up, the first time I think it went up 5x, pTGC went up 50x. The second time PulseChain went up, it went 3x, pTGC went up 50x. So if it just follows that same trend, if Pulse goes up 10x this time, pTGC is going to go up 100x. That's not a guarantee, that's just looking at the trend of what it's done with the multiples and how these systems function based on past information.
Yeah, so talked about it a little bit there. The FUD that I've seen recently, if somebody was tracking the Dow wall and like, well, the Dow is running out of PLS. What happens if it runs out and these sellers are still out there? And my argument was, it's not that pTGC is really underperforming anything. PulseChain is down, Ethereum is down, pTGC is just following suit with the rest of the network. And, you know, the token taxes keep replenishing that Dow. Now he's like, well, I've been tracking it and it had like 60 billion and now it's down to 11 billion. I'm like, well, yeah, it's a function of less volume and they've been doing a ton of buybacks and burns during May. So, you know, what would you say to the flow to the concern of they're just assuming sellers continue and that you guys would run out of Dow funds?
Yeah, so the big thing to keep in mind is the Dow having a reserve of funds is a new thing that's happened after the last push up of pTGC and PulseChain and then the retracement, just due to the mechanism functioning at higher levels in the last run up and run down. We were actually able to create that reserve. But the previous two 50x's pTGC did, there was never any reserves. It's just the Dow is constantly refilling itself. And as it was refilling, we were using. We now are lucky enough to actually have a reserve, and the reserve I think is sitting at like 5 billion Pulse right now. Going into what we believe is the next move, we already have a reserve built up. And then if it moves up and we generate more revenue, then the reserve should just keep building up more and more as we keep even using it. But that's what's nice about this system is it's not a reserve that has a cap and it's just like, hey, no more money is coming into this reserve. So once we use it, it's gone. And this is an extreme example, but I'll just put it out there. Kind of like Richard's ETH reserve right now. That was like a sacrifice and that's there, but I don't think there's anything like flowing into it to keep increasing its value. So if he just used it all, well, then that reserve would be gone. pTGC doesn't operate in this way. The utility of the system is constantly generating more revenue to go into the Dow that makes it auto refilling. Every day it's filling up with more. Some days when there's good volume and volatility on chain, it fills up really, really quick and generates tons of PLS. Other days, like we're kind of in right now, if you don't know, or anyone listening doesn't know, we're at all-time lows of volume on PulseChain. We've been at all-time lows for a little bit now. So when PulseChain's at all-time lows, it's directly correlated to us. We also have very low volume levels in our system because we make revenue off of the volume and volatility of PulseChain. PulseChain's also not been too volatile. It's been kind of just sitting here at the bottom for a little bit now. So where we see our system amplify back up is when price starts going up, it increases the liquidity that we have. And then that makes it so market makers now need to move more money, which makes it to where we generate more revenue. And then usually when this stuff is moving up, it's also having volatile shifts and also volume, making it so our system is actually refilling at a faster rate, making it so we can use more revenue without tapping into reserves, so on and so forth. So as far as like worried that it's gone, it's never gone. It's constantly refilling, and then worried that there's not enough there to create a pump. The previous two 50x moves we did, there was none at all. The pump that happened just happened from natural markets. That's what people don't understand is when PLS starts going up, that literally in definition means money is flowing into PulseChain. When money flows into PulseChain, it also flows into the assets built on PulseChain. When PulseChain goes down, when PLS goes down, that means money's flowing out of PulseChain. And we know when money flows out of PulseChain, it's not only flowing out of PulseChain and PLS, it's also flowing out of PulseX, Hex, pTGC, and we usually can counteract a lot of this, right? Because we have our buy and burn happening, we have our automatic functions, we have our utility, so we can kind of hedge ourselves against it, but you can't hedge yourselves against everything. When you run up hundreds of X's, people tend to take profits and markets move down, and when markets move down, people get discouraged, scared, and money naturally will leave the chain for a little bit, and then it cycles back, money flows back in, good times come again. It's like everything kind of is like an inhale and an exhale. There's a big cycle, right? Like the 4-year cycle, which is a big inhale and exhale, but there's also a lot of micro cycles within the big cycle that you can kind of see within pTGC. You can see it run up, and then that exhale happens, and then you can see it run up, and this goes for PLS as well.
And you got a serious decent amount of liquidity. If PulseChain, let's say, goes to 3 times SEC price, you have what, 15 million of liquidity in pTGC alone?
Yeah, 3 times stack price would be like a 10x from here. So yeah, that would be a 10x to our liquidity that we have right now, and that is out any that's with us doing 0 X's over that. That's literally just hey, PulseChain went up 10x, pTGC didn't get bought more, pTGC didn't get bought less. In the past, we've been bought more, but yeah, if PulseChain does 10x's, we go from 5 million in liquidity to 50 million in liquidity. And this is what's very, very unique about our system is that's what PulseChain is doing at 10x. If you believe PulseChain is going to do a 200x, well, we're going to be, or not 200, a 20x, we're going to be sitting on 100 million in liquidity. And that's 100 million in liquidity that's working for the system, not just sitting there stagnant for users to enter in and out. This is standard tokens, right? The liquidity is just there to be a market for the general public. But every single liquidity pool that we have isn't just for users to enter in and out. It's generating us revenue the entire time. And the more liquidity that we get, the more value gets generated off of the liquidity because market makers now need to move more revenue to fix the prices of the other pairs.
That's more than we had with Hex in the beginning. Literally. I think in the beginning with Hex,
really,
what, 20 million in liquidity, and it supported what, 10 billion market cap?
Wow.
Yeah, it's gonna, if PulseChain becomes remotely successful, pTGC is gonna surpass the biggest tokens that exist for on-chain liquidity. Like not on PulseChain, like all of crypto. And it's not only gonna pass them, it's gonna be utilizing that liquidity that to generate revenue, to buy and burn itself, to pay APY, and it trusts its way without inflation, which technically gives our asset a super sweet advantage over every other asset that exists up in that realm of tokens. And I think when that starts to click, price off for the rest of crypto, because they don't even know pTGC exists and these systems exist at this point. They're kind of still just doing their thing. It's the top 100 tokens are pretty much a combination of companies and a few meme tokens, right? And a lot of those meme tokens are actually VC meme tokens, not real community-driven tokens. I believe this will be kind of its own kind of realm to where it's a grassroots community project, but it's not a company, right? It's not this company that has a token attached to it. It's a fully decentralized system that just runs on its own with 0 overhead. So a lot of these other tokens that are in the top 100, they're full-blown companies with tons of overhead and a ton of employees that they have to pay constantly, tons of middlemen, etc. So a lot of the value that's getting generated with whatever utility that they have, it's going to pay for that company. To where this system, the system just runs on its own, it's automated, it's just the market makers on chain fixing prices due to our liquidity web. So 100% of that revenue is getting shared amongst the community itself. And it's getting shared in APY, buy and burns, LP ads, etc. And I don't know how Richard's going to play his liquidity games, but the nice thing about our asset is we don't necessarily need to play games because we're built on a chain with such little liquidity already. So we don't need to compromise our liquidity for X's because we believe we'll get those X's from the little liquidity in the things that we're bonded to. So we can really focus on making sure we have enough liquidity for our assets. And then as PulseChain moves up, as Hex moves up, as PulseX moves up, that's going to increase our liquidity. And even if users are removing liquidity to keep pumping up Pulse or Hex or Pulse or you know, any of these, maybe they're adding it at the top. I don't know. In the past, it seemed like it was kind of getting removed as it got higher and higher with Hex. We don't have to compromise our liquidity to keep pumping ourselves up due to everything we're being bonded to already at so low liquidity levels. We can actually keep bolstering ours up because it generates us revenue.
There was a question in the chat, Zen. What do you think a $10,000 Ethereum? How do you think it would affect PulseChain?
Like, so what that would do just in general, a lot of PulseChain's X's I do have something to do with Richard and what tricks he has up his sleeve. If he never brings any money and he has no real tricks up his sleeve that's making his chain better than other chains, we'll obviously move up with the market, right? Like if ETH goes to 10,000, like, yeah, we're easily at a 10x from here, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. But that's just naturally how markets work, right? If Hex is at 10K, think about how much money has to come into ETH to make that happen. Now think, do you think at that much amount of revenue going into ETH, $15 million can't find its way to PulseChain? Absolutely not. $15 million would easily find its way to PulseChain. $15 million is absolutely nothing. We were talking about earlier how much money the PulseChain community has actually just given away to sacrifices. It's around 100 million. And that's not even including sacrifices to Richard, that's sacrifices to other projects. So at this point, I think the PulseChain community could technically send it up 10x themselves. I think they're just afraid to get sold on at this point. Mm-hmm. But yeah, ETH going up 10x, that obviously means tons of money has flown into risk-on assets. And what happens naturally is it lands on ETH, and then a portion will go to alts on ETH, and portions will go to L2s and L1s that are built on top of ETH like PulseChain. And then portions of that value will trickle down to the sustainable projects like pTGC. Also, portions of that money gets lost in the casino of crypto, doing high-risk gambling for quick 100x's in a matter of 2 days. Lots of money gets lost in that place because most of the time when you're playing that casino game, you're technically just handing over your ETH or PLS to the people who made that ticker. And 99.9% of the time it's a losing battle unless you're really good at it.
Okay.
When things start moving up, and this is just my personal opinion, I think it doesn't matter. Even when things are moving down, I do know why people play that crypto casino, because they're trying to increase their PLS in their wallet. 99% of projects that launch are literally to just get the PLS out of your wallet into their wallet. And when things start moving up on PulseChain, there's going to be a lot, thousands and thousands of projects launching to get the PLS out of your wallet into their wallet. Definitely hypocritical for me to say this because I have my own project, and obviously I'm like, hey, this is a great project. It's a great place to put your PLS. I obviously think I've earned a little bit of trust at this point, but moving forward, be careful, right? People are going to want to get at your PLS, and they're going to try to sell you the idea of making a 200x in a matter of 2 days with meme tokens. It's the easiest way to get people's value out of their pocket is selling them the idea that they're going to be rich and retired tomorrow. Will pTGC do this for you? Most likely not, right? pTGC is a long-term sustainable project where there's a plan, a utility, and we've proven what it does, right? We do believe it's a great place to store value, and it's got burnt liquidity, it's got a utility, it's got the math behind it. We've proven all this stuff, and the chart speaks for itself. But when things start heating up on PulseChain, if you have a decent amount of Pulse right now, I highly suggest you keep it in sustainable, or no financial advice, but be careful out there, guys. Know what projects you can trust. Be careful with the POS that we've waited 5 years for, pretty much.
Yeah, that's what I was
Don't
saying.
remind me.
As the network continues to do well and all to get launched, it's going to help the underlying. But like you said, there's going to be thousands, and if we're really successful this cycle, tens of thousands of projects that are launched on PulseChain. Probably 1 in 100 will produce gains for this cycle for you, and probably 1 in 1,000 will actually be multi-cycle on PulseChain and survive the next downturn and stay here for the next 4-year cycle, 5-year cycle, 3-year cycle, whatever the next cycle is. So, be really careful for that. There's gonna be tens of thousands of projects launching. There's gonna be some short-term gains on a lot of them, but 1% are gonna be sustainable to even survive the cycle, and probably 1 in 1,000 will be multi-cycle on PulseChain. So same thing we've seen on BSC, we've seen this on Polygon, we've seen this on Solana. When you find the big winners, when you find your high conviction plays that look like they're here for this cycle and for next cycle and beyond, those are the ones that you want to hold on to longer than the others. And if you want to have a little bit of a degen bag, try to catch some waves and some quick 2Xs and 3Xs, hey, do what you want to do. But understand, very, very few projects are going to sustain, even for the duration of the bull market, this bull market, much rather multi-cycles. It just doesn't happen unless they have a real product market fit, a real utility, a team that isn't just in it for a quick flip or launching 17 different projects or whatever the case may be.
100%. Most of them are just those quick flips, and it's to get the POS out of your wallet into their wallet. And the sad thing about that is it's not even because they want the POS in their wallet to hold up the price with us of Pulse. Like, we're all holding up the price of Pulse together. All of us holding Pulse in our wallet and not selling and bridging out right now, we're all supporting each other's bags. These quick meme tokens, I'm going to be straight with you. As soon as they're done with that meme, for the most part, they're taking that POS, selling it right to ETH and bridging out. So they didn't only take the POS from you or whatever amount that is, they also hurt the rest of your portfolio because they went and sold on it. The tokens were better off in your hands from the start. Obviously, that being said, there is tons of degen plays and quick places you can make life-changing games. You'll see it, right? You'll see it. You'll hear about it. It's going to happen right in front of your face. It's definitely hard to fight. I hear it, but be careful out there, because I do believe we're going to have an extreme run. And Richard is creating a kingdom here with PulseChain. And when you create a kingdom, everyone is going to look for a crack in the wall. They're going to try to sneak over the wall at night. They're going to try to pretend like they also want to be part of the kingdom. All they're trying to do is get after the gold inside the walls. Us as the community need to stand strong and protect the jewels, the gold, the treasure, the kingdom that we've created together. Most people are going to just try to get at it, and they're not going to get at it and stay. They're going to get at it and leave.
Yeah.
Sad but true.
Yeah, we've already seen how extraction has slowed down the growth of PulseChain already. That we're watching whoever that was, the Vietnamese kid, or whoever that was extracting millions of dollars from PulseChain. You can see what it does to the network. Imagine if you had another 5-6 million right now on the chain. We just said a 15 million is a 10x on PulseChain. So what is 5 million Pulse could be 2, 3, 4x higher if that didn't get extracted. Same thing happened with PDI and the Tropa and this and that. So every one of those extractions that happens slows down the overall growth of the blue chips and the overall growth and the opportunity of good altcoin projects that launch on underlying networks too, because there just isn't enough economic power here to sustain the blue chips and sustain the ecosystems and sustain all the DeFi platforms and everything else that's being built on chain as well. So just keep that in mind. That's why the sacrifice, I'm not going to name names, but the people who raise sacrifices and you have no liquidity, but you raise millions of dollars. I mean, fool you once, okay, but if you want to trust those people moving forward, they already showed you what they're going to do. So if you're taking millions, it doesn't cost that much money to launch a project, get LP pools, and get going. So if you're raising millions of dollars and your LP pools are dust, well, what do they do with the money, guys? probably took it out of the market. So just keep that in mind. Be careful what you're doing, what projects you're chasing. And when you have high conviction plays, look for what add funds to those, not extract funds out of those.
Yeah, it kind of, the same thing. The same thing kind of goes for pTGC, right? Like I strongly believe pTGC will turn into its own kingdom in a kingdom. Like PLS, PulseChain, Richard's tickers are a kingdom on their own. But I do believe pTGC, UFO are going to turn into their own kingdom. They're going to possibly have hundreds of millions of dollars in liquidity. You'd be naive to think that not everyone and their mom is going to try to find a way to get at that. Telling you every which story to get into those walls that you could ever hear. That's what happens with success and with creating an amazing system is people are going to try to get in those walls and get at the kingdom's treasure, the liquidity. They're not getting at it to stay. They're getting at it to leave. So as we grow with pTGC and UFO, just everyone listen, be careful. You're going to hear everything you could imagine to get at what this protocol builds. The best thing we can do for the protocol is try to keep as much of it within the kingdom as possible, because that's going to just make it stronger and stronger and stronger. And obviously better your lives with it and stuff like that. That's what it's here for. But be very careful with what people are trying to do, because most of them are just trying to get at it. I had something else I was going to chime in on what you were saying before, but I'm forgetting it now.
Just got off the call with a gentleman from Australia. Going to be coming in with a dolphin position here, and not too shortly.
Nice.
Very excited about pTGC.
Very nice.
About a 90-minute conversation. He's pretty much blown away by how the system works. So, little praise report there for the evening.
Yeah, and I think that's important for everybody listening too. If you have one friend, 100 friends, 100,000 followers, it takes your effort to get a new person over to the chain and get a new buyer in the conviction plays that you have. So one at a time, props to you. I'm actually, as we're doing this right now, trying to get somebody to claim their bridge, get wrapped ETH imported to their PulseChain network. And it's bridged over one ETH to dip their toe in. So, it's $1 at a time, it's one ETH at a time, it's one person at a time, getting into your conviction plays, getting into the blue chips, whatever it may be, and all that supporting network is pTGC in the projects they like.
Yeah, nice job, both of you guys. Onboarding people at such a good discount, not only on PulseChain, but pTGC as well.
Yeah, man, a dolphin position right now is a very good entry at an 80% retracement USD. It just is. So yeah, I told you guys last week I was, or actually a couple weeks now, that I was starting a new campaign in real life and making myself available to speak with people, and just people are coming to me left and right now. So it's been fun.
Cool.
Onboarded another gentleman, I think 2 days ago, for another dolphin position. I think those are like $17,000, $18,000 positions. So people are seeing this, seeing the discount. And
right now they're like 8K, but really quickly they
oh yeah, that's right.
More.
8K, yeah.
Very quickly they start to multiply.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Big time.
But it's just fun. It's just fun to get back. It actually, what it does is it actually been taking me back to just my old days, man. Learning DeFi. A lot of these people, they don't know what we know, and it's just a blessing to just be able to help people have a much deeper understanding of what it is that they're looking at and how the things work. And it doesn't take a massive long conversation, but once those few certain things click, it's like it opens up a whole other realm of understanding. It's like, wow, this is really cool, But the best,
hey guys on YouTube, can you hear me? Let me know if you can hear me.
And so, because it's the all-in-one token, when you show them how and why that is, it's just like you just got red pilled in the Matrix, man. It's awesome. Love it.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah, by holding one, you hold all. That system within pTGC, I think, is something that we talk about a lot, but a lot of people aren't utilizing it for that reason quite yet, because it's a lot of people who already hold, you know, Richard's other assets. But I think moving or flowing into the chain, and they land on the chain, and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm brand new here. I have no idea what to get, right? I have this capital I just bridged in. The idea of by you hold one, you hold all. Obviously, this works very, very well in traditional finance. It's one of the biggest sectors in traditional finance. I think it's going to have huge product market fit here in the PulseChain. And not only are they exposed to all, but when they're exposed to all, they're also generating revenue off of the movement of all too.
Mm-hmm. Well, does anybody else care to come up and speak?
It's time for me to go to bed, but yeah, keep on crossing. Love that you do in the space, and Prairie Banana, keep on streaming. Love it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate
Dolphin
it.
position right now, just over $8 grand. At the previous all-time high, that
30?
would have been a $40,000 position.
Yeah,
Just for
man.
numbers.
Yeah, man.
Prairie's always killing it. Prairie's. We're gonna have to change your name, Prairie.
What are we changing it to?
I don't know. I just always think about Little House on the Prairie. And
Oh.
it ain't working for me anymore, man.
All right, let me change it for you. You know, there's a plant called prairie banana. It's not very common out where I live, but I think up in Canada and the eastern states. You can look it up on Google and Google pictures of it. It's prairie banana. Yeah. But if you Google it, guess what else comes up?
What?
Profile pictures of a certain prairie banana. I know. I found that one time. I was like, what in the world? Yeah. So, well, maybe that'll help you with your image, because I do not care to be known as Little House on the Prairie, honestly.
Well, who didn't like Little House on the Prairie, man?
Oh, I loved it. I loved it. Yeah.
Hey, how's it going, everyone? I just got out of the meeting. How's everyone doing?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm solid.
Yay.
Is it just me, or does it feel like some shit's about to happen?
It was nice.
Oh, you
seeing
can.
Bitcoin
Okay.
Go over 110 today. I'll tell you that. That was bullish.
Cue baller.
Yeah, that was pretty nice. Start off the week and seeing ETH get up to 27+100, and I saw the new update that was made also with PulseChain, so that was nice as well. It just feels like some stuff is about to go down. I hope people are getting excited. I know I am.
Well, it's like I was saying last week, man. Like, I had to check myself and just, you know, people really got to get out of that negative headspace.
Yeah.
You know, it's just not the time for that. It's not the time for that. Right now is the time that people should be hearing about PulseChain.
Yeah.
Not at the top. You want to bring people in when it's the best price, man.
That's right.
You know, people look at pTGC. Oh, pTGC is a $75 million market cap with everything at the bottom.
Dude.
Don't forget that.
I know. You know, that's the thing too. If you actually know what this ecosystem is, it's like I've said it before, this is a lifetime opportunity. And being able to get in at these prices and just really understanding what in, I mean, really does not get this ecosystem fail. This shit is gonna fly. It is set up to be so successful in the way that pTGC was designed. It's gonna ride that wave like no other. It is gonna be the project in this whole, crypto ecosystem. I'm just thrilled, man, and so blessed to be a part of it.
Well, you know what I love about it? I love about pTGC's ecosystem that it didn't wait for for PulseChain to do something to create millionaires.
There you go.
That's what I love about it. I love that it didn't just sit there saying, well, Sag Daddy, pump my bags. No, it just went and did its thing. Put 15,000 wallets into the system, brought a bunch of people in, and is already starting to create 100,000aires and millionaires with a blockchain that's just had a wet blanket on it for 2 years. That's when you know you have independent momentum, when you have independent value, when you can go up that much against the thing that's not helping you at all, right? So imagine when the chain finally turns around, what a system like this will do.
1000%.
Very powerful, guys.
1000%. What's funny to me is I've seen a behavioral change in myself. Being a part of crypto for the last 5 years, I've never really openly wanted to talk about it with other people. It just felt weird, and kind of felt like if you talked about crypto, you were kind of crazy, and you were dancing with the devil almost. But since the creation of pTGC and the opportunity that it's created for so many people and what it's bound to do, I can't stop talking about it to people, because it's not even like it's not the norm of like talking about cryptocurrency. This machine has never been done before, and the way it was designed at the ground floor, getting into an ecosystem with a founder who beat the SEC, who has the number 2 holdings of all Ethereum. He's been around since the 2009, 2011 era of mining Bitcoin. The guy is extremely intelligent, even though of course he's done the whole flashy thing and stuff. He's got eyes on him. Anytime he opens his mouth, though, it's like, wow, this guy's got an IQ of 200. This guy knows what he's talking about. So with all that, it's like, you better get into this system before it's too late. And to be honest, it's never too late.
Yeah.
Even if BGC gets to multiple of billions of dollars in market cap, the machine will never stop working, and it's always going to be a safer bet to get into this than other cryptocurrencies, in my opinion. And I'm thrilled.
Absolutely, man. I was late. Okay, in my own head, I was late when I got in early last year. PulseChain has done nothing. It's gone sideways the whole time. Yet my bags have inflated quite a bit. I'm a very happy camper. And PulseChain,
they deflated, man. They deflated.
And PulseChain is right back where it was when I was buying. So, I mean, the writing's on the wall. What's going to happen next?
Absolutely. What's up, Coon? How you doing, brother?
What's up, gang? How you going? I'm going to pose a question to anyone who wants to answer this, because I'm sure this is also going through everyone's minds at these low levels and low volume. Where are the buyers going to come from? And we've been in this spot before, but where are they going to come from? I don't know who'd like to answer that question, but.
Well, I just got off the phone with a gentleman, spoke to him for about an hour, and he's coming in with a dolphin position probably any minute now, any hour now. So it's going to come from people like me and you telling other people about this awesome opportunity on a brand new blockchain instead of sitting in a freaking circle jerk X space hoping that somebody else pumps your bag.
Yeah, totally, man. And the only reason I pose that question is because I think to investors that might be sitting on the sidelines and looking at the volume and everything else, they're scared. Understand where the volume is going to come from, where the new buyers going to come from, but it's at these times that at any moment it just turns around and momentum just picks up, and then you've got you've got a rolling stone that just gathers no moss and it just starts charging. So it'll catch everyone by surprise. But I just wanted to pose that question because there's probably people out there thinking, or investors who are sitting on the sidelines thinking, well, I feel like everyone who wanted to purchase certain assets on PulseChain are already in. So where's it going to come from? Where's the fresh liquidity going to come from? But the market is huge, and it'll catch everyone by surprise. That's to where it comes. But you're right, Mando. We've all got to play a part.
I think that the minute that PulseChain does a reversal, we've seen it every time. You always go into this scare, this kind of fear, FUD, everybody's negative. And then the second you have a reversal, what happens? Massive energy and sets of waves and sets of energy come back on chain. The system itself starts generating literally billions and billions and billions and billions of PulseChain. All that's going right back to us, the holders. All that's going right back to the liquidity. The system can't shut down, right? So we ride away. That's why right now I'm telling people, look, when the volume's low on PulseChain, we got $6 million, $10 million of chain-wide volume, and we're at a triple bottom. Technically, Richard can start talking post-win July 6th, according to Nuclear Herbs. So even like people want Richard to start live stream, it wouldn't even be in our favor to do that until after the SEC can technically reopen the case. And so the teams wouldn't even be telling them to do stuff like that, right? So when do you tell people about a new opportunity? When do you share DeFi with somebody?
Right now.
Like, how many people do you guys know that have no clue how to do what you do? Do you think that maybe 1 out of 5, 2 out of 10 might enjoy learning how to get onboarded to this space and make some extra money for their family? Probably, yeah. So that's where it's going to initially, in these low times, it comes from people talking to people and onboarding people. That's where it comes from. It comes from marketing. It comes from conversations. It doesn't come from sitting on your ass hoping somebody else is going to pump your freaking bag.
And I'm in a similar spot, man. I've gotten a few people in over the last month. They haven't put in huge clips like, say, dolphins or shark positions, but they've dropped 1 or 2K. But you know what it's doing now? It's actually getting them excited. They're looking at it. They're seeing the market starting to wake up with Bitcoin knocking on the door of all-time highs and Ethereum, ready to break out of this bullish pendant and everything else. So it's just getting people in these low levels now, but then they get excited. And trust me, when the flick switches in everyone's mind, there's another 20 grand already or 40 grand that they've just got sitting there that they don't tell anyone about, that they're happy to start pumping into the market.
That's what I was going to say. It's more important, even if they're only putting $100, $1,000, whatever. It's more important that they understand the process of how to get to PulseChain and then dip their toes in, because every human being, every person in investments gets the FOMO bug. So as long as they know how to do it, then when green candles come to the market, they'll be quickly bridging in more assets and trying to ride the wave. That's just the nature of human beings. That's just the nature of investments and how these cycles work. So really, it's not important how much people are putting in at these levels. It's just important that they understand the process to get more money here when inevitably the chain turns around.
Yeah, totally, Nick. I've got those investors in, with a couple K, but there's 5 of them over the last 3 weeks, and I can really see that they're ready to go and hit the trigger when they feel a little bit more excited or a little bit more confident about the market. And I've got a feeling that time is very, very soon. So yeah, plenty to be excited about.
Mando, you also made a good point there. I was saying, I'm surprised Richard Hart's talking as much as he can, because I thought, the SEC was going to get fully wrapped up end of June, and now you're saying like July 6th, according to somebody else. So yeah, guys, don't expect live stream until after that. And really, I'm not expecting live streams until after we also settles the Interpol case. And the Interpol case won't happen until the SEC is settled, because I think that they're going to take what happens in the SEC case, at least his lawyers, and that's going to go towards getting the Interpol case dropped or settled or reduced based on the precedent that is set by the SEC case being lost by the SEC. So before that all wraps up, I don't see him doing live show. I'm kind of surprised by how active he is right now because the SEC case technically can still be reopened for another month or so, according to you. So, I think things are still lining up well. And I think Interpol quickly gets settled and resolved after the precedent is sent by the SEC case that's going on.
Yeah, so May 6th, Nick, was the date that the county clerk's office stamped it into the books. You got 60 days from May 6th. That's that time gap, technically, legally, that you would not engage anything, which puts it 60 days from May 6th.
And then, his lawyers have already, for other clients, settled or got Interpol cases resolved in the history. And I tell you, their case is probably a lot easier to negotiate with Interpol if you can say, hey, look at this. We beat the SEC over here not once, but both their appeals that didn't even go through. So that sets precedent for the case that they have against them as well. Because I'm assuming it's related because it's a tax case, which probably has to do with the funds and the sacrifice funds. And did he misappropriate funds that the SEC went after him for that he's going to beat? So I expect things to start to unravel pretty quickly here. And then even in his own tweets, he's saying, 60 days or whatever. It's like, well, 30 days, 30 more days for SEC to be completely beat. Another 30 days for his lawyers to do their job with Interpol. And then maybe he's finally has freedom of speech, finally has freedom of movement, and we'll see how active he wants to be. I personally believe he wants to be super active. I believe he wants to do debates. I believe he wants to do interviews. And based on his other comments, I think anybody who hated on him or talked shit on him, he's not going to give him the time of day. He's going to do live shows and interviews with those who stuck with him, who supported him, who talked good about him, because he thinks it's a wasted economic energy for him to go on shows with people that hate him. Now that the products are already launched, now that they're already flawless, if you're a hater and you don't believe, well, you'll just have to watch him on somebody else's channel. He's not going to give you that spotlight when he comes back to the scene.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of DMs, man. A lot of DMs right now from people that are hitting their goals. Just achieve my dolphin position in positions in pTGC and UFO. Super pumped. Wanted to thank you for taking time out of your day to talk with me. I really appreciated it. And then we have another gentleman asking about what rank is someone with 100 million pTGC. Is that a dolphin position? 100 million pTGC, you're well above a dolphin position. You're on your way to a shark, man. You gotta keep on pressing forward.
That's 3 dolphin positions.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a third of the way to a shark.
Yeah, that guy's on his way.
Mhm.
That's a very strong position.
I had something a little bit for Coondog on his question. So where we are at PulseChain right now has pretty much been users and money has been leaving the chain for on average 2 years straight now. Obviously, we've had points where money has flown back in or ran back in, and we've seen what happens to the pTGC system when money actually starts flowing into PulseChain. Every single time on the chart of PLS going up, when money comes over the bridge and lands on PulseChain, it has been very clear that a large amount of that revenue, a large amount of that money comes into pTGC. So you're kind of asking, when we hit these low periods and we start to make ourselves, or Mark, where is the money going to come from? I personally believe it comes from the money that's coming into PulseChain to even make PulseChain go up. Because even on ETH, when someone goes into ETH, a very large percentage of most people's portfolio doesn't actually stay in ETH only. A large percentage doesn't just remain in the gas token if they're actually a DeFi person. A portion of it gets divided amongst the sustainable assets, the assets that have the most momentum, the assets that have the loudest communities on the chain. So I personally believe that the money that's going to come in is going to be coming from outside of PulseChain, and it's going to be looking for the loudest, most active, strongest, most momentum protocols on the chain. And previously, the last 2 times we've seen little glimpses of this, we've stood out, and I don't see a reason why we don't stand out again. everything that we had in the past, we have more. We have a bigger community, we have bigger liquidity, we have a bigger bird supply, we have a reserve of PLS, and our community is only growing and getting stronger, better distribution of the token, etc.
Yeah, thanks. And and the main reason I was posing that question is, like, everyone's mental psyche when these times come and the volume drops, it's just you get into a state of like, well, you go into Ethereum, you go into the other layer one chains, and you see volume, and then you come onto PulseChain, the volume's just been dropping so much. It's like you get to a state of like, where's it going to come from? But it happened before, and when it goes really quiet, and sort of just before that, that's when it catches everyone out, and accumulation at those low levels, just, I don't know what it is. It's a thing where it's just human emotions. It just, there's a click switches in the market, which is human emotion, and then it just starts rolling in all of a sudden and catches everyone by surprise.
So if you go to GoPulse and you go to the stats section under the PulseX section, you can actually go on the daily charts to look at trades, volume, and liquidity. And it gives you a bird's eye view of the journey we've been on in terms of volume on PulseChain, right? We have been down here at these levels so many times. There's nothing really different about this time than any other time, right? In terms of the volume. If you look at that chart, we've been at these volume levels ever since PulseChain deployed. And what you see is you see sets of energy that come in. Boom, massive spikes that come in. And then it dies off. And then boom, massive spikes that come in, right? There's no different. There's nothing.
That's a great way to yeah, thanks, man. Because also volume, volume is either the upside or the downside. So if volume drops lower and lower and becomes almost nothing at one point, that also means that we're pretty much run out of sellers. You've got believers in here, the ones who want to accumulate at these low levels, at these great discount prices, have done that, and you've pretty much hit that floor. And I can even see Moon King in here, so he probably confirmed this as well, that the low levels on the chart really signify a point in time where there's just no more sellers left, and then it's ready to just all of a sudden surprise everyone and just shoot the other way. Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, that's cool. I'll definitely check that out.
Well, it's just good to see, like, one thing you learn from Moon is just look at TA, look at charts, look at the data, right? Don't go off your emotions. Look at the fib levels. Look at where bots are going to pick stuff up. There's things, there's rhymes, there's reasons for things, right? And when you look at the chart of the volume, it tells a story, right? You can see, okay, we've actually been here before. Yeah, people don't like it, but here's one thing I'll tell you. Do you remember when we were at like $1 million market cap on pTGC? Were you in back then?
Yeah, I remember. I was.
Do you remember when the volume was like 10,000, and then we finally hit our first 50,000 in volume? Like, oh my gosh, 50,000 in volume. We're sitting here laughing because it's like
watching on the
nothing.
sidelines at that stage, and then I was working out how to get in. But yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and then so now we've gone all the way up to a 300-something million dollar market cap. We're sitting down here at around an $80 million market cap. And what's volume today? Like 100,000, 200? I don't know what it is today. I haven't looked. But what this proves is that the system itself is doing exactly what Zen said it was going to do when he came onto the shield tank and said, hey guys, how you guys doing? Yeah, I built this thing. It's pretty much just designed to go up and to the right.
Yeah.
He came up there so innocently.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's just pretty much designed to just just forever just go up and to the right.
That's so funny.
And everyone's like, what the hell is this guy coming in here thinking everything's just going to go up and to the right? But if you look at the history of the system, from all volume, you benefit even when it's low volume. You're still getting yield. You're getting more tokens at lower prices. The system's just designed in such a beautiful way that looking back to the beginning when it was at 50,000, 10,000 in volume, now look at what it's just under $100 million with just over the same amount of volume. So that means that the system has proven its thesis on being a hyper-deflationary asset that constantly buys and burns the tokens out of existence, which constantly raises the price floor up and to the right over long periods of time. Just going all the way back to kind of what Zen was saying, just kind of tongue-in-cheek in that first shill tank roots. It's kind of fun.
That is hilarious, man.
Yeah, I guess that's the other cool thing as well. When Zen mentioned, this asset's different. And we probably mentioned this too many times in the spaces, but it's good to go through it again when we're all so excited back in the day about talking about this. It is so different than any of the other systems we've seen, any other cryptos, because you don't have dev teams, founder overheads, constantly running where they're having to feed overhead costs and everything else. Also, like a real world business or company, you don't have those overheads either. It's a system that just autonomously does what it does. And it takes the tax on the buys and the sells and it distributes it accordingly. And really the only thing that we have a say in is the DAO with the voting on those funds as to what happens there. So there's actually fuck all overheads. There's no overheads at all. And this system just keeps on turning a profit for the holders, which is, I've never seen anything like it.
So this week so far, Kuhn, I've brought in about $40,000 to $50,000 of buys personally.
Right, amazing. That's awesome, man.
So if everybody was just doing what they could to just teach one new guy DeFi this week and introducing them to PulseChain, yes, it's a speculation. Yes, people can say, I would never bring people over to PulseChain. You can say whatever you want. But if you're going to deal with me, I'm going to teach you DeFi and I'm going to teach you how to bridge into PulseChain and take some positions in what I think is a potential high risk, high reward play. Sure, sign me up. I spent $10,000 in Vegas last month and lost it all anyway. So I'm just saying, I'm kind of having fun from one standpoint here and there, just kind of going back to the old roots, looking for some people to talk to. What I find too is that there's just a lot of people right now on PulseChain that are realizing that they kind of think that this is. I was talking to the Roots earlier today, and one of the things he was saying is like, right now is the time to really get your portfolios in order. It's not a time to just be in shit. It's the time to kind of really hone in, get your ducks in a row, because when the thing goes, it's going to go really quick, right? And you don't want to be in shit. You want to be in the best assets you can be in. So
totally, and the time to get people in is now. I mean, if someone came to me and laid out what I've had to go through, invest 4 years ago to a sacrifice that was then launched 2 years later, and then the price action, all it did was bounce around below that SAT level and then drop down further and further. And then we're at this stage where we feel as if we bottomed out, and PulseChain is the cheapest possible that you can get it right now. And it's only up and to the right because we know what's coming, but new investors that don't, obviously don't have the history or understanding. Like, if someone was to lay all that out to me and say, I can give you a window to teleport through time, miss all the bullshit, and you can buy right at the bottom right now and actually get onto the best assets on PulseChain, buy some of the cores, and then get into pTGC and UFO and just, hold for the ride. Like, what a fucking opportunity. But it's the hardest to get them in when they're at the lowest price.
Yeah, the opportunity is insane. You can literally get a better price, not a little bit of a better price, a 70% discount than what people got 4 years ago. It's an amazing opportunity. And it has more clarity than it's ever had before. I don't know if you guys just saw this, but I see a few messages coming across now that it says, breaking news, DeFi platforms will be exempt from regulatory barriers, says the SEC chairman, Paul Adkins. You guys see that?
Wow.
So we're like the
Can
opportunity.
you pin that? Can you put that in the Jumbotron?
I need to find it on actual Twitter. That was sent to me while we're up here.
Who posted it?
I didn't. Someone texted it to me.
Okay.
But the person who posted it looks like watcher.guru or watcher guru.
Yep. Perfect. Thanks.
Yeah, it's huge, right? We're like where we are right now, like with the SEC, with crypto, with Richard, with the markets, and you could tell someone like, hey, you're getting a better price by 70% than what people got 4 years ago. I know it's hard to get that, but what you're offering them is just this amazing opportunity, a better opportunity than pretty much everyone here talking has got. The only better opportunity that we had over them is we had the I'm trying to think of the best word, temporarily turn our pulse into sustainable assets like pTGC from early days, right? So by transitioning your asset of Pulse into assets that have mechanics built on top of them to increase in price and pay APY and be hyperdeflationary, this actually helps you increase your Pulse because you're turning it into a smaller asset, a smaller bucket with systems written within code that are actually meant to push the price up. You can design products to do so many different things. For example, Pulse is the gas token of the PulseChain blockchain. Specific reason to exist. And yes, it is better designed than Ethereum, and Ethereum is better designed than, as far as being an asset, than a lot of the assets that exist in the real world as far as value growth and stuff like that. But is the mechanics, is the code actually fully designed to be a great store of value with price appreciation? Yes, it is a great store of value, but is the code behind it specifically designed for that specific purpose? That's what's really unique about is the code has been written to be a price appreciation store of value on PulseChain. That's its purpose to exist. And as far as what you're saying, Eric, is looking at your portfolio and kind of deciding where you want to store some of those portions of that value, you're 100% right. The best time to do it is at the bottom. It is not at the top. Because when you're at the bottom, like for an example, Pulse, that means money's been leaving the chain. Usually means more money has left the chain. It's kind of taking where pulse, but money also left the more speculative assets on the chain or the assets built on top of PulseChain, which usually causes the alts on the chain to be at more of a discount. So since the alts are at more of a discount, it's to kind of look around and say, okay, I've now had time to watch these alts. I've actually had time to study them and see who's been around for the long term, who actually plans on staying, who's gone. And I can actually reposition my portfolio because when money starts flowing back in, the same assets that usually go down more are also the same assets that usually go up more. Rotating technically out of Pulse into sustainable good alt on the chain is at the bottom. When you should be rotating out of even good sustainable projects into Pulse again is near the top, not the other way around. The sad part is most people usually do it more closer to the top because they get FOMO because they see the other assets running more than the gas token of the blockchain. The best time is actually at the bottom. And keep in mind, a lot of people like to think that it's all ships. Most ships sink to the bottom of the ocean and just have constant sell pressure on it. Every time the blockchain moves it up, there's a wall of people willing to get out of that asset because all they want to do is get out of that asset back into the gas token. So a lot of times it is better to be rotating out of the things that are dead into things that can actually go up in price at the bottom because every
Isn't it crazy in crypto that like everything you think you have to do, you actually need to do the opposite. Every way you need to think, or you think you're thinking, you actually then need to take a step back and think the opposite. From a newer investor in crypto, that's you learn that you have to learn that the hard way. I'm sure we've all been.
Oh, it's literally exactly like that. It's exactly like that. You have to almost counteract all your emotions. You also have to counteract every news event as well.
Yeah, you also have the thing on a chain in an environment like this where people have the mindset of they only want to get in the thing if it's $1 million market cap for a new launch because they think the only way to make money is to just get into something that's worth nothing. Not realizing that like a meme coin that's a $7 million market cap, is just a 10x away from being in pTGC, which could literally be like the next version of like a who the hell knows how big the thing could go, and you're just sitting here tooting around on. To me, you meme coin to buy something like pTGC, right? You make money in the shit coins to turn around and put it into the cores and into real value. That's the whole point of it. It's exactly what you said, Zen. When you're in memes, you're in memes. If you're in ETH, you're in memes to get more ETH, and then you take that ETH and you put it into more memes to get more ETH, right? That's the whole point. But pTGC is unique in the sense that I'll meme my ass off to get more pre-TGC. You can't really say that about a lot of things.
The funny thing about pTGC is it actually has the capability to perform as much as a meme as well. So you don't actually have to trade the sustainability for the exits, because usually that's a trade-off. You're like, I'm in ETH because of its sustainable growth and its price appreciation and its liquidity and it's the fact that it's going to be here forever. Well, pTGC, it actually has a lot of the features as far as the sustainability gets and the trustlessness and the burnt liquidity backing it. But it also has the capability to do hundreds of X's
maybe not overnight, right? Like I get that you could grab a meme token at 100K market cap, and 2 days later it could be at 10 mil, right? Yes, maybe we don't have that capability, but we do have the capability to do X's to change people's lives and change their portfolios and really, really change their net worth.
Yeah, but Zen, you got to admit, man, if you're in a meme coin that does that to 10 mil, there's a magnet down 90% down there that it's going back down to. And everyone's in profits and it's going back down there. So it's a zero-sum game. If you don't get the hell out of that,
usually those only have enough value for one of those 100 people in that token, and it's usually not you.
Yeah, so that's why, you know, I love memeing, man. And there are some great memes that somebody will launch and they actually put real capital into the thing to make it a real actual token, as opposed to most of this shit you see, you know. There's actually some that are, here's the interesting part. You got memes on PulseChain now, they're bonding with pTGC. You know, and I don't mean with a little bit of money. I mean with a lot of money. It's like, damn, I'd rather have that than PulseChain, right? Or you have a PulseChain pool and you have a pTGC pool. It's just crazy. But these people are doing this because they know that pTGC is a mega super value amplifier on the network, and it mimics the network with, you know, just mechanics that just it's a performance amplifier on the network. You can see it on the chart. If it's a performance amplifier
on the network, it's ultimately a performance amplifier to your liquidity, because 100%. You're going to get dragged up by the asset that you're connected to. For example, right now we've been connected to PulseX and Hex, and they technically are pretty much not up. I think PulseX, maybe Hex might be up a little bit, but for the most part, they're not up in 2 years. So they've been no amplifier within the last 2 years or year and a half, right? But if we were to able to pair with something like pTGC, an amplifier to our liquidity web, that would have helped our prices. So if you have a token, it 100% makes sense to pair with pTGC. It's actually shown to appreciate in price, which then helps your ticker appreciate in price, which then also helps increase your liquidity as well.
Yeah, the interesting thing is we went through the test case with PDI on the big you know, canary in the coal mine question of, oh, well, what happens if you're paired with something and it just tanks and goes down? Is it gonna, you know, screw up your whole system or whatever? Well, thankfully we've even been able to weather that, and we still own 70 million, 80 million PDI. So if it goes to $1, guys, for all the PDI guys, we'll have about 70, $80 million in that pool.
Yeah, we pretty much still have, besides like a Tropa and maybe the WPLS pair, we still have between pTGC and UFO, I'd say one of the biggest LP pairs on the whole entire chain with it. So, you know, and how I look at it, it's like a win situation either way, and we'll generate revenue off of it for the rest of its existence. And that'll just make our system stronger. And, you know, of course, wish the best for everything on PulseChain. Anything that PulseChain is going to help benefit pTGC if we're bonded to it. So, you know.
Yeah, man, I'm seeing as well. Other projects that are launching, they're considering, well, they're even looking at pTGC as like one of the core tokens now, whatever you want to call it on PulseChain, because it is an index of the Richard Hart cores. And they're bonding to it because they just know that the stability is there, and they want to be liquidity bonded with it because they know the potential to be upside. It's a no-brainer. And I mean, mornings with CoachX. I mean, CoachX explains it like very well with, you know, overviewing the market and everything else. But then doing a proper deep dive into pTGC on just how this works. So if you're trying to get new investors into PulseChain, into pTGC, which is what I've been trying to do over the last month, you know, there's a few individuals that do, you know, great content and space calls and YouTube calls every week, and you can just get them onto those and into these groups, and they can just learn by listening in the background.
Yeah, that was interesting out of the blue today, seeing ETH and Bitcoin zip up like that. It was a real quick
Yeah, it was.
jump up.
Well, I mean, if you look at the market structure too, you know, Bitcoin doesn't have overhead resistance till really like 118 to 120, but it's the same uptrend line that's been bouncing off of as it's been building these bearish divergences that it doesn't care about. And really, there's downside support at like 96 or 97,000, which is continuing to rise as that's a moving average. So the longer you stay above it, the longer it's going to continue to rise. So, I mean, market structure wise, you're also getting relief from the stock market. You know, stocks have been continuing to just grind higher, which helps risk on assets. Now there's rumor of the first Fed cuts. We've been saying 2 to 3 cuts this year will happen. Probably the first cut will be in July, but now there's rumors that maybe we get one in June, which helps risk on assets. And then really Ethereum's been consolidating here underneath its downtrend line, and we just broke above it. We need to break above 2,700 on volume. We just had that green candle. Now we just need an influx of volume on Ethereum for it to have follow through. And your targets would be, the first target would be 3,100, and the next target would be $4,135, which would be a new high for this market cycle, which you know what that does to PulseChain, you know what that does to altcoins in general. So not saying we're going to go right there, not saying it's guaranteed, but the market structure looks favorable to that. And as long as we get some stability in the stock market over the coming weeks, I think we're poised for you know, people being left behind for sure.
Yeah, I got another message from another guy. Just reaching out to people, man. Just reaching out to people. Buddy of mine named Mark, he just hit me up. He wants to put 15 G's into pTGC.
Cool.
There's another one. Literally just dialing, making some contacts this week. It's been pretty fun.
Yeah, it's really good to take advantage of it when we have the time, right? Like how you're saying you have the time right now, so you're just trying to do it because when things start cooking, time starts to get really, really scarce.
Yep.
So it's awesome that you're kind of taking advantage of the time we have now.
Well, it's like what I told you, man. I was telling B the other day, like I pretty much checked out. You know, I've been pretty much checked out. But the one thing I have been doing is I've just been text messaging a couple people, and I've been making myself available to take actual calls from people after our spaces, just to answer questions or whatever conversations they want about the pTGC ecosystem or whatever in general. And people have been taking me up on that continuously, constantly for the last 3 weeks. So that's been great, and it's all been transpiring into new buyers. I think that the lowest buyer so far has been like a dolphin position so far. And then I had another friend of mine call me up today. I think that as the market starts to turn back around, you know, you start getting some of your closer friends, your closer peers, and they're like, hey, you know, Nick, it's like you got people that aren't in, but they know you're in. And when they see the market cycle shifting, you're like, hey, Nick, hey, B, you know, your neighbors, whoever they're going to come at you. And it's just, it just happens. It's part of the cycle, right? You want to capitalize on that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm definitely not trying to get, if it's the people that I'm trying to help, I don't preface it with, you're going to make $1 million guaranteed and all this BS. I tell them, hey, guys, this is something that you're going to learn. This is something that I think you'll benefit from. If you want to get involved, you've got a good mentor. It won't take too much to learn it, you know, and it always is better to get somebody in near the bottom. Not saying it can't go lower, but it's a lot better to get them in at the bottom than at the top. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's also you feel a lot more comfortable onboarding people when you feel you're low versus when these people come out of the woodwork and want your help and it's at new all-time highs. I'm sure you'll help them, but you feel a lot less comfortable because the markets can have volatility and then there's nothing to do that they got in at a high. So, you know, right now is the time. If you have people you care about or friends or family, now's the time where you can feel more comfortable doing it rather than reaching out to you because of all these green candles and your social media post.
Yeah, like I said, I got a buddy of mine, another buddy of mine that is a big Latina Bitcoiner guy. And he drives around in a real beautiful orange Lambo, Bitcoin orange Lambo. I'm literally trying to get him to put a pTGC decal on the front of his Lambo. He said he's going to give me a call when we're done with he's actually getting on board with PulseChain and pTGC when he gets back from Panama at the end of the week. So that'll be interesting to see if we can pull that one off.
Bruce, I see he's getting a new cyber truck. I see him here getting that.
It's a cyber beast. It is a cyber beast.
There you go. Did you see the book on that?
That thing literally almost beats a Carrera 911 in a race, towing a Carrera 911.
You mean like a 0 to 60?
Yeah, he sent me a link today, and it's literally the Tesla Beast against the 911 Porsche, and they take off, and the Tesla beats it. You don't see how in the video, you don't see that it's actually hitched to a trailer with a Carrera 911 on the trailer, and it's neck to neck with the Porsche.
It's hard.
Crazy, man.
It's hard to beat the torque of that electric engine.
Yeah, so it almost takes like the whole fire of a sports car out when this moon unit looking thing pulls up. It just blows your doors off, you know? It's like, maybe I'll just, drive the Mars car.
What's the difference between the Tesla Beast and?
I couldn't tell you. I know that there's less of them made, and there's only certain. You just tell me today. There's only certain paint jobs, like very limited, like paint jobs and features to certain ones. You know how they do it. They kind of limit the certain series of things. But I'm not sure. What's up, B?
Can you guys hear me?
Yep, loud and clear.
Oh, I didn't think I'd be able to.
No, we're talking about your beast Tesla. You might be getting.
I'm not getting it. It's gonna take it takes about 3 weeks to come in, and then it's gonna take another week to get it wrapped and tinted and all that stuff. So it'll probably be another 6 weeks, probably.
Wrapped and tinted with PulseChain.
Let it drive you around on your own thing.
Oh, yeah, $8,000.
For that system built into it.
Self driving. Yeah.
Wow. Was that an option that you add to it?
Yeah, it costs $8,000 to be able to do that. And
You
then,
can't have the beast without the self-driving, bro.
but difference between a cyber beast and a cyber truck, the wheels are different. Yippee-yi-yi-yi. The tile cover comes with it's a soft cover. It's a hard cover instead of a soft cover. So you would have to upgrade this cyber truck to get to the hard cover of that. And then obviously the speed on the cyber truck is 0 to 60 in 4.1, and the cyber beast is 0 to 60 in 2.6.
Oh, damn, that's a huge difference.
Yeah, well, it's dual motor on the cyber truck. It's triple motor on the cyber beast.
Whoa.
And then you have some emblem stuff. So it's like a 3-headed dog for the decal to tell the difference between the two. But you really can't.
What is the distance, like the length of time you could drive that thing before you have to recharge it?
The cyber beast with the upgraded wheels is 300 miles. The cyber truck is 350.
It's crazy, man.
Got it.
So there's some optionality that kind of gives you the okie doke. For example, if you get all the options on the cyber beast, you get all the options on any Tesla. They give you free Tesla supercharging for life of the car, as long as you have the car. So as long as you own the car, any Tesla's charger, you can just go up to it and charge it, and you don't pay anything for it. Now, there's a cost for that, obviously, because to get the upgraded wheels, not only that you lose 220 miles per charge because the wheels are kind of thicker, you pay the upgrade, but it's $3,500 to go to the next size of the wheels. So basically, yes, you get like nicer, thicker tires, but you lose mileage in doing that, and you're paying $3,500 to do that. So let's just say it costs you $20 to charge up your Tesla at a full charge at a Tesla supercharger. You would need to do 175 charges in order for that to actually even make sense to be doing that. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot because you probably fill up once every 2 weeks, so at least 52 times on your regular gas car. Tesla's always going to have a short lifespan, so let's say per year you're probably going to do, let's say, once every 2 weeks. So you're talking, let's just say 25 to make it even. You would be talking about, it would take you about maybe 4 to 5 years to reach that in a Tesla. Which makes sense. But the only difference is if you have a house, you can just charge the thing at your house every single night and you have a full charge. If you are not in a house, you don't own a house, or you're kind of like in an apartment complex, then yeah, it might make sense. Or if you're in a condo, it might make sense to have that. So I think I might do it anyways, just do it, just to have it. Because I did buy a condo in a different state. So if I decide to move to that state, it's nice to be in the city and be able to just charge your stuff for free. So it's a cool little perk, but you are paying for it at the end of the day.
Yeah, I was gonna say I have 2 electric vehicles, and I would, if I couldn't charge at the house, I would never buy an electric vehicle.
Yeah.
I could not imagine sitting places to charge my car. It would drive me insane.
I did it about 2 months ago when I was looking at land in a certain state, and we ran out of chargers, but we just happened to be, eating breakfast down the city. So it was, there was a Tesla supercharger literally like 2 blocks away, and I did it. And I didn't do it. I had to, you couldn't just stand there and leave. So like I was getting messages like, hey, you're getting charged for Tesla. Just sitting at the supercharger. You can't just fill the charger and leave. You get charged for that. It's kind of like late fees. So once it reaches full charge, it starts charging you like per minute for you just sitting there. So you're not just hiding out the charger, you know. You gotta make space for other people. Do it. So.
Oh yeah, when they get busy, like the ones I have near me, you'll see lines of like at busy times, 15 cars waiting to charge, and then they have to charge.
The chargers where you're at?
I'm in California, where a lot of people have Teslas, and a lot of people live in apartment complexes, obviously, in California. So a lot of people charge at those superchargers and charging stations. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I couldn't imagine not having a charger. It would be horrible.
But yeah, I just don't. I mean, part of me is like, what's the point? But another part of me is like, it'd be cool if you did a road trip, or you needed to do like something and drive somewhere, and like you had no choice, and you know you could just spend 15 minutes, get 200 miles, and then drive another 200 miles. There's a plus side to it, but I don't see myself using it. I own properties and houses, so it doesn't matter. There's no point in really, I don't see myself unless I just forget to plug it in one day. But I mean, at the same time, I don't drive 300 miles a day. I might drive like 30 miles a day. So like, what are the real chances of me needing to use a Tesla supercharger? It's just not really.
Yeah, I think it's more just like, do you want the upgraded wheels? Do they look better?
Yeah, they don't. They really don't. I'm gonna take they come with covers now, so I'm gonna take the covers because with the paint job or the wrap that I'm getting, it doesn't even look good with the covers. So like, I'm just gonna take the covers off anyway. And the tires are just thicker tires, so I'm not going for the off-road look. I'm actually getting a Cyber Beast. Last thing you're gonna do is take your Cyber Beast off the road and go 0 to 60 in dirt. Like, no, you're not doing that. Realistically. So. Plus, I live in a city, there's no dirt around for me to even do that if I wanted to go off road.
Dude.
So B, we can think about the markets tuning up today a little bit.
Ethereum
Jumped over 2,700. Yeah.
Yeah, he's good over 2,700 for sure. Ethereum's leading the way. If you guys don't know or realize it, but I think that Bitcoin led the way for the most of the time. I think we're in the back half of the bull market. Now, whether that is an extended bull market, obviously I won't give all my stuff for free if you're not a subscriber. But there is one thing I did say about Ethereum that most people don't think that this thing. Sorry. Sorry, I haven't had cleaners in my house for like 3 weeks and she's been sick, so she's probably just so she But anyways, I think that Ethereum will be there's some things that say the bull market can go a little longer than most expect. I'm not really in fully agreement with that, but there's something Ethereum did to make me believe it is possible that it could. So without giving out all that information fully, I want to go on the side that it will be longer. Either way, Ethereum is leading the market right now. It doesn't feel like it's leading the market, but it definitely is leading the market, and you can tell that by looking at the Bitcoin to Ethereum chart. Ethereum is bottoming out. Ethereum's playing the catch-up mode, so Ethereum can do, you know, a 3x and still will be behind, Bitcoin. The bearish news to that is, if you were in Ethereum in the beginning, you should have sold it in 2018, because ever since then, it's been going down against Bitcoin over time. Excuse me. So it's actually been better than Bitcoin over Ethereum since 2018. So you really don't want to be in Ethereum as it is. You want to be in the coins under Ethereum, or coins that are like a PulseChain that really hasn't had its full run, that can go up against Ethereum by a massive amount. Because Ethereum had its days in 2018. That's it. As far as holding Ethereum versus holding Bitcoin, if you held both, you should have been holding Ethereum from 2015 to 2018. After 2018, you should have been holding Bitcoin. Because never and since then is it better for you to be holding Ethereum over Bitcoin. You can see that in the Bitcoin to Ethereum chart. It's been doing nothing but creating lower highs every single cycle since then. So it's bullish. It looks good. It's playing catch up. However, I do not think you will get the gains in Ethereum that you could have gotten just by holding Bitcoin. Wow. So, for example, if Bitcoin goes to $250,000, well, guess what? That is a 16x. In order for Ethereum to give you those gains, you would have to have a $13,000 Ethereum. So, you know, that's how I kind of see it. I think Ethereum can get there. I don't truly think it will, but it absolutely can get there. And if it does, that means Bitcoin is probably going to go even higher than what we think it's going to. But there is a certain market cap of $1 trillion that is happening in about a 3x from here. So you add let's say 3.2x about, you know, could be up a little bit off of that, but pretty much 3.2x. You multiply that by 2686, that is 8,595. So it falls very, very, very short of a $13,000 Ethereum to make its gains be comparable to Bitcoin. Now it's still big for us with PulseChain, knowing what we have and how it's working for us. But, you know, at one point, you know, I would say at one point it's going to top out at a $1 trillion market cap. Like, I don't think it's going past that. That's where Bitcoin topped out last cycle. I called that back in 2018 and said it would top out there. If you've seen the video with me and my dreadlocks back in the day when I had my dreadlocks, I said that's where it's going to top out, and it topped out pretty much exactly right on par. I think Ethereum will do the exact same thing, and that exact number is 1.2 trillion divided by 324 billion. 324, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 100,000 million billion is a 3.7x. So it's 3.7. So 3.7 times 2,868. Just over a $10,000. So sounds very, let's say, it sounds very typical. You know, I've talked this many times. There are psychological numbers: $10 million market cap, $100 million market cap, $500 million market cap, $1 billion. You know, 20 billion, 50 billion, 100 billion, you know, same thing with 1 trillion. So when it gets to $1 trillion market cap, guess what? You're probably going to struggle a little bit. Yeah. Where did Ethereum top out in March 9th of 2024? $500 billion market cap. Where did Richard Hart decide to buy the top of Ethereum? $500 billion market cap. You probably don't want to buy at a $500 billion market cap because of the psychological number. So once you break over that, retest that, then you buy that. You don't buy just before it because you'll get wrecked every single time. So, Richard Hart, if you're listening, $30 a month, $1 a day. Fair market.
Richard needs to subscribe on that TA, bro.
So that's what happened.
We love you, Richard. We love you, brother.
We bought right at a $490 billion market cap, which is the worst absolute thing possibly do. Because what if people do at psychological numbers? They sell those numbers. So yeah, that's what happened. They hit it twice, and now on the positive plus side, on major assets, double tops and double bottoms are meant to be broken. So when you look at the long scale of Ethereum, it topped out March 9th of 2024, just under a $500 billion market cap, exactly $489 billion market cap. And then when he bought the top, it topped out at a $483 billion market cap. So we're just short of that. So they get a double top, and therefore what happens on double tops, they get absolutely demolished because it creates what you call an M pattern, and it definitely created that M pattern. Now it's rebuilding back up. My bet is the third time's a charm. It's going to have a slight little pullback from, the $500 billion market cap. It's going to reclaim it, and it's going to head its way over to a, 1 to 1.6 trillion dollar market cap. I want to say 1.2 because I think traditional market is in very well that 20 to 25% over the psychological number, because what that does is that convinces people, oh my God, we're going to 2 trillion or we're going to 5 trillion. Like we already established 1 trillion, we're going. But that's usually the exit liquidity that they need to use to give it to you. So they did it with Bitcoin at 69,000. They did it to you twice actually. So that's those psychological numbers are real, and that even $10,000 number is just something, and I would like to see it go, just a little bit higher. That $12,000 number. That's been my number for God knows how long. I would like to see $12,000 because that would really wreck a lot of people. But the amount that the freaking crazy alt season that you will see from Ethereum going from $2,700 to $12,000 is absolutely massive. It's going to be massive when you see it go from $9,000. You're starting to see the Ethereum coins start to heat up, where a lot of coins can't really keep up with it. So they're grabbing a lot of attention, they're grabbing a lot of bids, and Ethereum starting to become the powerhouse like it usually does. It's going to take back everything. The one thing I like about Ethereum meme coins is it's so much easier for people to just know. Like Ethereum is just so much easier than like sweet and like Solana.
You mean like tool wise, or what are you talking about?
Just in general, like people get it. It's almost like sweet, like it's for newbies I'm talking about. It's not just because I'm an OG and I've dealt with it for a long time. It's just so much smoother as far as how to use Ethereum. There's so many different dexes. You got dexes getting rugged on Sweet. You got Solana. You don't know whether to use PulseSwap or Radium or Jupiter. And you're just like all over the place. And the typical dude, I get it. It takes me a couple tries and I figure it out. But I know a dude wouldn't be able to figure that out. But everyone's just like, he understands what you use. Or excuse me, not understand. Uniswap is what you use. You just use Uniswap. You put the code in and you swap. Like right now with people are launching things on Radium, people are launching on Pop.Fun. It's going to PulseSwap. So the way you use pump swap is liquidity.
Yeah, they're all over the place.
Yeah, it's just like you're confusing the average person. And even when I make like a sweep call, people are just like, wait, I thought CETUS or CETUS or however you say it is rugs. I'm like, no, it's not fully rugs. Like you can use it still. It's safe to use, but you can also run on tutor. So it's just so many different things where it confuses a lot of people. But I'll tell you one thing, squeeze. I don't get off subject, that is bullshit chat and all, but squeeze swaps, they're freaking flawless, man. It's like butter. Like you hit that button, you better not make a mistake. That's just awful. But
yeah, it seems like the tokens on ETH right now too. People are holding. It's not just like the pump and dump soul freaking environment.
well, some of them are because the soul people came over. You can tell which ones are the soul people and which ones are the Solana people. It's so obvious. They create Ethereum meme coins with 1 billion supply. You don't have to on Ethereum. You have to on pump.fun because that's what it's set to. It's kind of like the pump.tires. It's set to 1 billion tokens. But they are going and creating Ethereum tokens with 1 billion supply. That's how I know it's a Solana dev. It's like the alpha network right there. Like gas on Ethereum, 7-0. So you're back to the old school where unit bias is a thing. So that's where you can tell who the difference of who the devs are and what they do. You can tell some of the coins that I'm in on Ethereum. I can tell it's a Solana dev. It's like, bro, you haven't even uploaded your dex tools. Like Ethereum guys, that's automatic. You automatically upload the dex tools. So there's just different mindsets of how these people think and how you can kind of see who they are. And even then, you still want to catch some rugs, here and there. But once you figure out the game and what these people are doing and who they're doing, it's a lot easier to figure out if something's a scam on Ethereum than it is on Solana. So, they'll try to play those games around and you're just like, nope. And they are bringing that to Ethereum. There's a ton of honeypots on Ethereum. But you just use token sticker and block it, just spots it right away. So next. And you are able to clearly do that with Solana. So it's a lot harder to figure out things. Especially if you're not using all the Telegram bots and all that shit. So, but yeah, either way, the market is warming up, and I would just like to see that 2,700 punch get over, and I think
we did breach it today. It's just it fell back underneath a bit. But I posted the ETH to Bitcoin chart last week on the 31st, and this week after we talked, and this week I just posted it again in the Jumbotron, and it's it's on the monthly. It's the candles are going green against Bitcoin for sure. So
yeah, it's definitely it's winning its lead in the market. BlackRock started buying Ethereum, so that's another big pro. So I think you're gonna start seeing Ethereum start taking over, and you're gonna people switching back, and that's why I've been kind of playing the Ethereum game. I've been playing around on all blockchains lately. There's a time where I'll flow back into PulseChain memes, but for right now, my following is freaking starting to fly just because I've been playing around with other chains and stuff like that, and hanging out with different communities and stuff like that. So once PulseChain starts coming over, you just want to get a certain percentage of those people investing into PulseChain coming over when that starts to move. So I know a lot of people hate on it and just say, "Oh, look at this, showing this, and look at this, showing that." Like they just don't like the game that I'm playing, and I'm sorry, it's a lot more effective than postcards. literally had a person today. I just did a tweet on freaking PulseChain, and the first person that responded is with FTEs. It's like, it's just, it works. I know some people are like, well, I don't have the following you have. Yeah, literally 4 years ago, I had 3,000 followers. Not a single one's paid for it. So it's now a lot of them are fucking just like, show thing, and a lot of them probably ended up not making it. That's just the nature of the game. But it's it works. You get a percentage of them wanting to go into things you say, and as you grow, that percentage gets higher, and so does your influence. So
Your bank account.
yeah, now you're gonna buy some Rolexes and Cybertrucks. But I am.
That was so funny, man. I was like, man, that dude.
I'm taking it to the next level. Subscribers don't even really fully know this, and I haven't made it official to people, but I'm talking to some super high-end developers, and I'm going to change the meme game for the big plus. I'm taking it to the next level, and I think I will be able to. The best way to explain to the subscribers without actually saying it is my brain is going onto a website. So
Sign me up.
you will never have to learn TA.
pTGC is going straight on the front of that website. That's gonna happen, dude.
You will never have to learn how to do TA. It won't be a call website. It's not a call website. So you're not gonna get played like, oh, who keeps going? It's not that. It's something completely different where you never have to know TA. Literally just log on to the website, which will be another subscription, by the way. So it won't be free. Not even gonna be free for subscribers. It's gonna be like a multi-tier thing. But it's literally the cheat sheet for crypto. I get so many questions even among subscribers, daily questions, and it's the same question over and over. And I say, where there's questions, there's money to be made, one, but also, even I'm giving you all the alpha, and you're still asking questions on some of the easiest things that you know. Well, all I gotta do is make that super easy for you, and then all I gotta do is say, go to the website. There's your answer. So,
Yep.
Finalizing that. Yeah, I'm finalizing that probably tomorrow. I've got like these crazy devs, and they're not like project devs or anything. Like these are like true high-end, make $200,000, $300,000 a year like devs. I've got like 3 of them.
And Zen is going to have a banner at the top, just pTGC, the index of PulseChain, right at the top there for you.
Just use AI for TAA, man.
Are you going to have A team and B team both working on the same thing, and then whoever finishes the better product first gets it?
No, they're all working on it.
I'm just messing with you. That's what Richard said about PulseChain.
I'm having all brains work on it. And I've had somebody that's in my subscriber group, and I've read him my bill, but I read him what the bill consisted of, and he said, "Oh, bro, this is gonna be crazy." So he just by hearing what he knew right off the bat, he's like, "Yeah, you're going to the next level." I was like, "Yep." It's gonna be a very professional done website. It's not even like GoDaddy or any of the web page. I told him, I was like, are you going to be using what was
Oh hell no, you ain't doing no Wix, bro. You get no.
Yeah, I told him
Or,
Wix. I told him that, and he laughed at me. He was like, "Oh, really?" I don't know, man. I think I thought that was the top of the line, man.
Dude, hell no, man. They gotta tool that thing from the top to the bottom, bro. Crazy.
I have no idea. I was like, I see like these web pages.
$39.99 for
He's like, no, like there's a front end to this, there's a back end to this, like there's gonna be all kinds of data keys you can grab. Like you're gonna have so much stuff that you can like really just build off of the data and information that you get. Like this is gonna be well over the information you can get from like Wix. Like he just laughed at me. So I was like, all right, man. Are you familiar, Zen, with web pages and things like that? I know we're working on it, so I don't know how in tune you are with it. Is he listening to these questions?
How in tune you have what?
With web pages.
Definitely, I would say my expertise, I'm more just obsessed with crypto and how they function, on chain with liquidity pools. But, obviously had a group of people in the development process of pTGC where I had some people I was working with that had experience with websites and stuff like that than I did. Because, again, like I'm just someone who obsessed with value and how crypto functions. I was never obsessed with websites.
Well, be with you. It's more than just like front end design, right? It's building scripts that actually do, like you said, you're having to give them inputs, which creates your brain so that the outputs come out on the screen and give indicators. They're building that from the top down, man.
Yeah, like it's fresh. It was like JS something. I couldn't tell you what the type of web page it is. But I never even heard of it. I was like, what the fuck is that? And he was like, yeah, like these are what like the real boy, like these are the big boy shoes. I was like, okay. So the web page is gonna be just like you're gonna open it up and you're like, oh, this shit's like you would think that it's it's professional done. Like I'm paying tens of thousands of dollars to do this, so it's not cheap. And multiple devs paying them, 40, 50 bucks an hour. That's heavily discounted. He was like, yeah, I charge people like 100, 150 bucks an hour for this. So he said this is something that that I know that once I get on the good side, anytime you need something done with this web page, you hire me for that stuff. So that's kind of the plan with it. It's kind of a long-term plan to have them on the side. If anything goes wrong, he said, with his experience in doing this stuff, it's going to have 99.9% uptime. So you ain't got to worry about
All right, Richard. All right.
And I promise
flawless operation.
I will be getting on him like white on rice. If there's anything like that next website, that shit I think gotta wait like 10 minutes to do a freaking stamp.
Is it really that bad? 10 minutes?
It's so bad, bro. It's horrible. Watch, hold on. Let me go on Hex.com right now. Let's see how long it takes to bring up my stick. So mine. That computer.
Yeah, man, I use Alex's website for any of that shit, man. It's just way better.
All right, here we go. So So connect my wallet. These allow the Expo site to be your current account. Right, that's why is it freaking out? See what I mean? Like it's just it's literally just going back and forth right now. Maybe it's just me, but no.
Yeah, nothing.
Please allow the Expo site to be your current account address. It's literally connected to X. This isn't changing.
All right, we got the shill in there, man. We definitely got the shill in there.
Either way, steak. Yeah, this thing's like bugging. Either way, man. I can't. If I see something like this, I absolutely like no, my website wouldn't be allowed. Like this is a joke. Especially with money I'm paying for. I'm not.
So, while we got you, B, because you don't come up much busy lately, but I gotta ask, like, can you miss a little alpha on your thoughts on pTGC? You know, I know when subscribers get, I know the subscribers get it all, but you know, you get a little dog ball over here.
I haven't been restated, so I'm in the game on this.
You at least got a claim, man. He's got a claim.
I haven't played. Like I probably got so much freaking PTGC today. Yeah, man. Well, that's easy. So, I'm going to Italy. So when you look at the against the dollar, there's clearly a bottom form happening. So we had a bottom in March. That looks like a PI situation. Was it March? Late March?
Yeah.
Let me take a look.
31st of March, I believe.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You had a bottom. And then what we created, we tried to W out, and we had 3 touches of the bottom. I'm not a RSI guy, but if I was looking at that, I'm sure there'd be some type of divergence on that. You know, just looking at the volume and just looking at the chart the way it is, I'm not giving us a big spike up to 3 zeros and a 5, basically. But when you look at the weekly and zoom out a little bit, we bounced up, but we never retested it. So, you know, everything that I say, you know, we got levels of retest, and that level was literally where we're sitting at right now. The week of December 16th of 2024, we tested this exact area. We tested off of it, we bounced off of it, and we went and created a new all-time high. So what happens after we came in a new all-time high, PI brought us back down to that level, a little further down, but we got back up, we got right back down, we went back up, we went back down, we went back up, we went back down. And we closed back there, and then we fell back down there on a fake out, but then we created a higher low to W1 out in one massively weekly candle. That took us from 0.030 and a 2 all the way up to basically a 2x. So, but we did that without retesting anything. So what happens every single time you do that without retesting is what we call a magnet. Then we created a Gravestone Doji in the next weekly candle. Anytime you see Gravestone Doji, you run away or you swing trades. And that's what we did. We came all the way back down and we literally tested exactly where we needed to test on the weekly time frame. If you look on the monthly, I think we're looking better. Oh yeah. So we had 2 crazy months. The downside on the monthly time frame, we had a doji, which tells you, hey, most likely the buying pressure is coming to a halt. Obviously, that was our top, so we came down to a halt because we got halt followed by a doji. It goes reversal, and that's exactly what we got. We got a reversal.
Are you looking at the monthly for that, don't you?
Yep. Month of February 1st is a doji. So the month of February was a doji, and then the month of March was a massively red candle. And we already know why on the target for the buy point of that. And then you see the month of April, green. Month of going up from here because we're just retesting it on the monthly time frame, the weekly time frame. We're going to notice green. So by the end of this month or sometime this month, I believe, not financial advice, we will be over 3 zeros and 5.5. That's halfway from where from the P9 football. So P9 is sitting at where it's at right now. pTGC is halfway up. I'm telling you, the best thing you should have done was
Swap for PTGC.
into PTGC, which is what I told real time to my subscribers what I was doing with the smart thing to do. It's already showing to me the smart thing to do because you're up. You were once up 3x, 4x from that. And right now, I think after this retest, you'll be up 5 to 6x from that. Now, yes, P did go lower and get a little higher, but the thing is, you gotta look where the breakdown is at. No one was trying to buy that with very little liquidity. If you did, you smashed it, they were able to slowly sell into pennies that are still buying it. So you're actually, they're giving you sell pressure, and that's why you're seeing you gotta have trouble, is having trouble. Just because there's just multiple sell pressure people who probably did buy that dip. So gains wise, they're up more, but logic wise, when it comes to liquidity and just the ability to sleep at night.
Hey, now stop selling, man. Stop selling, bro.
The ability to swap at night is 100%. Or to sleep at night is 100% what pTGC wants. So in the meantime, you're making yield off of that. And as people are speculating for feedback, we're making yield off of that. So that's the yield that I made a check for a couple more. So thank you for everything you do.
Yeah, that was great.
That was awesome. Quick question against Pulse. Are you, I think I'm on a monthly. Are you seeing like wave 3 starting on a monthly against PulseChain?
We created a slight lower low on the monthly. We created a upside down hammer on the monthly, but we have tested everything we need to test. There are levels lower. I would be surprised if we go lower against PulseChain, mainly because once PulseChain starts moving, like you can see the greens that happens against PulseChain. So if PulseChain starts moving, this thing is going to start reacting. It seems like the only time we really are going down against PulseChain is when PulseChain really gets like super dumped. And that's starting to even out as PulseChain is kind of like not getting dumped anymore. It's kind of going flatline. So if PulseChain is going flatline,
PTGC is going flatline.
So as PTGC starts going up, I've got a feeling, I'd say AB starts C rate, yeah. So we can see, so I think our very next wave could be something serious. On the monthly, monthly that, if you wanted to get it on quote, if you wanted to get a target, not financial advice, just what I see is potentially that you really have to kind of like widen it out to say this is happening. But if you would count this as a monthly bull flag, your target is actually, I won't give you the number. You're gonna pull a fib level, man. But the target is you'd be stupid not to be. You'd be stupid. Your target is anywhere from, I'll give you a range, because I won't give you the number. Your target is anywhere from,
And this is against PulseChain.
this is against PulseChain. I'll give you a range. I'm gonna give you a bullish range, and I'm gonna give you like a bearish range. Forget the bull market bullshit and stuff. Bearish range is 36. The bullish range is 83. We're currently at 8.7. Sheesh. Hey, what's up? 683. Yeah, can we do it another day? Yeah, let's do it for tomorrow, or Wednesday. Okay, thank you. Alright, sorry, that's my really trying computer. Show some more crypto stuff.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at these levels here. 36 is, what is that from here in terms of, what is that at? $83. You gotta pull it all the way down. That's over the 316 or the 3618. I know we're probably the top of the PulseChain on PTGC. But I'll just give you a range, somewhere in the range. In my opinion, 36 is happening. That's what I brought. You know about it. That's what I So that's just my thought. That's just my opinion. That's not like cheap and shit. That's just straight up TA in your earnings. Yeah, because you've been listening to this conversation, probably can figure it out. But Tim?
Yeah, so like 10x from here against PulseChain, when I was running like how much that would cost, I think that's roughly like $8 million. I don't have my computer in front of me, so like if $8 million was injected right now, we would be up 10x against PulseChain. Obviously, as PulseChain goes up and as we start chugging up against PulseChain, that increases because our liquidity is increasing. So, for example, if we're 3x higher, 4x higher, 5x higher, so does that amount of money that we need to bring in against PulseChain to hit those levels. But again, at those higher rates, we're buying and burning more dollar value daily. So all the numbers start increasing. Users that want to get decent sized positions now need to spend more money. We're now in a situation where money's actually flowing into PulseChain. We're also in a situation where everything we're attached to most likely outperforms PulseChain if it has sustainability just due to how markets work and money flows into PulseChain and then dripping down to tokens built on PulseChain. What I ran is if the system operates similar to what it's done in the past two move ups of PulseChain, the 10x
that. The other pairs that we're connected to, like PulseX, Hex, most, those tickers need to do their thing, right? They can't be dead weight for us. They need to help us. In the past, one of the big helping forces was PDI, right? When Pulse moved up, PDI moved up more, and that gave us some X multipliers. What I'm hoping in this next move, an asset that we're connected to also helps make our move with us. So it's not just us pushing pushing with us. We have a couple of the tickers we're connected to helping us make that movement stronger. If all those things line up and PulseChain is remotely successful and starts bringing in some actual new users, we can start hitting some crazy numbers against Pulse, also hitting some even crazier numbers in USDC if PulseChain starts pulling its own weight. 10x, and then PulseChain 50x. That's a 500x. Gotta love reflexivity, man. Yeah, that's the thing that no one realized after on PulseChain. Even all these things, all the users are there. That's fine. Like we don't even have any really to tap into. And it's a very small user base currently here right now. It's going to be nice to have new users. But the truth is the free X multiplier that we get just with PulseChain being remotely, right? Like when I mean remotely, so like I think it's an X is.
Oh, guys, I just closed the space. Whoops. I'm trying to troubleshoot the static. It definitely went away this time. Let me see if I can bring this back up. Sorry, guys. Yeah, the static is awful. It's not my mic because I disconnected that one time and brought it back on. And I tried some other stuff. pTGC, come on, baby. Let's get the space pulled up. And what I want to try doing is, I just want to listen.
Multiplier to whatever. Obviously, that's no guarantee. Markets could do anything, but mechanically, we've seen the system do it that same way twice before, and I have a feeling it's going to kind of operate in the same manner. I don't see a reason why it doesn't. We have more BERT supply, larger holder count, larger liquidity web, machines operating better than ever, and PulseChain should make a good move this next time.
We had a $50 million LP at the last previous all-time high.
Yeah, I don't recall what it was. If that was that might have been the pTGC and UFO LPs combined. I think maybe we had like 30 and 30 or something like that.
Yeah,
I could be wrong there. Yeah, I could be wrong. But yeah, that's not even including that 50 million. That's not even including us doing any X's against PulseChain, right? Like right now we're sitting at 6 million liquidity with pTGC. Well, if we do no X's over PulseChain, literally PulseChain just goes, or everything we're connected to, because what we get as our X multiplier is a mean of what all of our liquidity pools do based on their size, an average. So if PulseChain does a 10x and Hex does a 15x and PulseX does a 20x, and let's say all those liquidity pools were the same size, our average X multiplier would be roughly a 15x, right? We get an average of all of our liquidity pools as our X multiplier. And then whatever we do against those assets, right, whatever value trickles down into us when all that happens, which in the past we've seen a very decent amount of value trickle down into us due to our product market fit, our deflation, the memeability, like there's a long list of reasons why value trickles into our system. Well, then that's a multiplier to everything that we're connected to. And that's what gives us the ability to focus so heavily on our liquidity and not have to worry about the lack of liquidity for the X's, because we have an unfair advantage against other cryptocurrencies on other blockchains here on PulseChain. The fact that we're built on a blockchain with little liquidity that has done 0 X's
gives us a massive X multiplier to our system with very little adoption to PulseChain. I think it's like $15 million needs to flow into PulseChain net positive to get a 10X from here.
Yeah, that's nothing.
Yeah, so like on another, you know, there's just nothing against other blockchains, but it's just super, super awesome advantage for us. You know, if you have a decently sized project and you start asking yourself, like, how am I going to get this project to do a 100X, right? A lot of times they have to play liquidity games, have little liquidity to keep pumping it up. Well, then whatever they pump it up isn't actually sustainable because there's not enough value backing the amount of people that you've put up in X's. Super, super unique situation we have here. If we can eventually get X's from the blockchain we're built on instead of just X's from us going up against the blockchain, our liquidity will move up in an even fashion with our X's, or a more even fashion, because when you do X's against the blockchain, you start to spread your price or your market cap from your liquidity. It doesn't step up one by one. But if you do X's because of the blockchain you're built on, your liquidity moves up evenly with the X's of your protocol, like the market cap or liquidity. For an example, if you're at 100 mil market cap and you're at, let's say, 100 or $1 million in liquidity, and the blockchain you're built on just does a 10X, well, then you went from the 100 million market cap to $1 billion, and then also your liquidity did the 10X. So you went from $1 million in liquidity to 10 million. It was an even shift upwards. But if your asset does a 10X, not because of the blockchain you're built on, but because it outperforms, well, yeah, you went up 10X, but your liquidity probably only increased like 4X in that event. So you actually spread your price from your liquidity, making it to where when users want profits, there's not enough liquidity or not as much liquidity backing the asset's growth, causing it to fall harder. You know, obviously we're hoping to get the best of both worlds. Price appreciation against the assets that we're connected to, along with the assets that we're connecting to eventually doing well, giving us a massive multiplier effect on our own personal growth. Most assets have to only rely on their own personal growth.
You got something, D?
No, I'm not too close. I'm getting sleepy.
I saw this video come up.
Yeah, hey guys, I need to shut it down, to be honest with you.
Let's do it.
Going for 3 hours now.
All right, Zen.
Good night, guys. See you guys.
See you guys.
Peace out, y'all.
You got something real quick, MJ? Never mind.
X is a resource whore on PC. Well, I'm using a Mac. Later. Hasta luego. Thanks for coming and playing. If you got new people, if you're send new people to my stream on Wednesday, 9 a.m. Pacific, we'll give them the complete run through of the whole ecosystem. Thanks, guys. See ya.